Hello, everybody. Right, I'll meet the order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Opening ceremony, everybody had a chance to look at the agenda, any conflict of interest, otherwise we'll consider that approved. Madam Auditor, will you please read the minutes of the previous meeting,
Well, there's two previous meetings.
of the two previous
Yeah.
meetings?
They were close together.
Okay,
June 28, 2024, the Board of Supervisors met at 11 a.m. with Gene Hayden, Chair presiding, members present, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, and Rossberg. Member present via Zoom, Mulbauer. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Rossberg, to approve the following resolution, 2024-22, resolution for interfund temporary operating loan. And this is for the Hickams Department, number 13. In the amount, where's that amount at? $76,328.14. Transferred from the Hickams Family Planning Fund 0040 to the General Basic Fund 0001. Voting aye, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Rossberg, and Mulbauer. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Schultz, to approve the following resolution, 2024-23. Social Services Department, an increase of $1,000 funded by a decrease in the Veterans Affairs Department of $1,000. Voting aye, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Rossberg, and Mulbauer. A motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Rossberg, to approve the following resolution, 2024-24. In the amount of $16,000 increase to the courthouse department funded by a decrease in the Information Technologies Department. Voting aye, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Rossberg, and Mulbauer. Motion passed unanimously. On motion duly seconded, the board adjourned at 11:11 a.m. Agendas for the next meeting posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting. July 1st, 2024, the Board of Supervisors conducted a required 2023-24 fiscal year end cash count at 8 a.m. As follows: Schultz, members present, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Mulbauer, and Rossberg. The board met at 8:45 with Gene Hayden, Chair presiding, members present, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Mulbauer, and Rossberg. Minutes of the previous meeting read and approved. The board approved the sheriff's officer quarterly report for April 24 through June of 24. The board discussed updates on the pipeline ground restoration ordinance with Colin Johnson, county attorney. No action was taken at this time. The board discussed updates on eminent domain with Colin Johnson, county attorney. No action was taken at this time. Board discussed how compensation boards are dissolving. County auditor presented copies, the Senate File 2442, Division 5 compensation of elected officials. On motion duly seconded, the board adjourned at 10:59. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting. That's it. All done.
all right.
I'm looking pretty good to me.
2 lines to sign. This chair. One on the front and one on the back. Conserving paper.
We appreciate it. Look at our expenses again.
I started, we did, yep, we're on there.
All righty,
Nobody else, just us.
thank you. All right, reports by supervisors and your standing committees. Al, did you have anything last week you want to report on for us?
Oh, not a lot. Holiday, just received a call from the mailman in Dallas City about some of the roads down there, just where they put the seal coat stuff on the cutback asphalt. It And I went and drove him Saturday morning and he was right there, very potholy and chopped up and rough. But I talked to Paul yesterday about it and, State Built was supposed to have been here and fixed them, but Paul said, I have no idea where they're at. They're supposed to be here. So Paul and I discussed that maybe if we can't get better service than that, eliminating that. Potentially next year, not even offering that, because it's like an asphalt type stuff, so they can't blade it, they can't do anything. But
What kind of process does State-Built use on those roads?
I think they come back with this modified or cut back asphalt, patch the holes and put a new coat over top of all of it, so. It's not very many people in the county that have that, but there's 4 spots in the Dow City area.
Down there by,
Putnam,
But-
Dan Muffs, Ed Green and, Bill Truitt. They all have them, very high travel roads, a lot of dust all the time, but. So, I don't know what's gonna happen there, but they were gonna go look at it, so I don't know if our guys went out and maybe threw some hole patch in some of them holes, but Paul will probably update us on that, so. And,
So we pay State-Built to do that? I think
the homeowner pays,
the homeowner, okay.
pay to have them do that, it's just, it's like the other, there's the option of dust control.
Right.
Just,
These companies are approved to go do it.
Yeah.
You can call it anyone you want to hire to come in and.
yeah. But like Paul said, Stay Built, it's kind of a hassle for them, because they can spend 2 days driving around Crawford County fixing 10 spots like that, or they can go out in Nebraska and do 50 miles in a shot, so guess where they would be going. So it's not a high priority for them, and,
So
No,
have
really.
homeowners been in contact with State-Built? Or are they?
well, I don't know, they're complaining.
Right, I was just gonna ask, are they complaining?
I haven't heard anything about that. Probably not, because they're slowing down, turning their lane anyway, so.
So then, how's that work if Paul sends our guys out with patch stuff? Is that,
I
that's
don't,
at our cost?
you know, I would imagine it's probably about similar to, when we go and put a fresh coat of gravel down in front of the lane right before they put mag chloride on, I don't know.
Right.
So,
You're not talking huge areas, it's just
no.
a rough where they are.
Couple potholes.
But if
Is
we,
it kind of where it meets the gravel? Is that where the worst spot
I
is?
think it's where, yeah, where it meets the gravel.
Y'all saw it?
Some of them gotta be stamped, don't
but
they?
if we don't offer that anymore, is that gonna be okay with the, landowners that?
What happened, I guess,
But has State Built been doing it for,
as long as I can
Or
remember.
we just not offering stay built, maybe there's two
No,
or three
we're-
other.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the other ones do that. Stayville kind of maybe got the market cornered on that cutback asphalt. So
Kind of like the old blacktop road.
basically what it is. about
Old
like
oil
road,
roads, remember them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Down by Bottom, we always had.
You get some of them old towns, that's all their streets are,
So-
old oil.
That's kind of the highlight of it. And then, you know, just drove some other roads, and that's southwest part of the county must have got a lot more. It's pretty chewed up down there, so. All might discuss that too, but they're gonna send 2 or 3 blade guys down there. Try to get that fixed back up. a
I
little
seen
bit.
two of them heading off on Muller's Corner on my way, and then Craig was already out going out this
Yeah.
morning, so.
They get pretty heavy rains.
Yeah, it's a combination of all the hills down there and heavy rain, so a lot of edge running.
Where does that break into the low soil? I mean, that probably wouldn't make as much difference on the gravel, but in the shoulders it would, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pretty erosive soil down there, so. Yeah. And then just working with the electrician and air conditioner, good people at City Center, trying to get that all fixed together, so.
So on the bid that you got from the city center, that was either 60 or 70,
Yeah,
like a 50 would not work, or this is just a recommendation from
this is the
the,
recommendation.
from the electrician, said,
From the
here's what I
electrician.
think you need. Okay.
He thought the 60 KW would be more than fine. But he said more than likely that'll power the whole building. But he says the 70, there's no doubt about it. It would have been.
It's never been our intention to power the whole building.
No. No. No, that's why I think the 60 would be more than adequate. Because they had to,
The priority is the fridges, freezers.
Freezers.
Yeah, Jake
yeah,
threw.
and being able to operate. Although it may be
The agenda.
with a fan blowing instead of air conditioner, or just the windows open or whatever, you know,
Or they'll go home.
yeah. So. Yeah, I stopped and talked with BMU, trying to get some information on how to size it, and Rory just said, you guys have changed so much as far as meters. And it's been vacant and or differently occupied for, he said it would be hard to come up with a number.
That basement was never used prior. It was just.
It's been, 10 years or longer since Dr. Fink's been out of there.
Yep. Oh, yeah, please.
And I kind of almost think that that's how you can almost size it, is that, cause Louise, if there's no power, she probably wouldn't be open for service.
No, no, she's going home.
So really, I don't know if you really even need to put that in the equation, so that's why I think that smaller unit would be plenty big.
I guarantee, I would even entertain going smaller, but I'm not an electrician, so I'm not gonna try to.
In an event like
I am.
Greenfield had with tornado, with emergency management, where would they base out of the fire station or?
What's ever left standing.
Yeah.
Very much.
Good
I
answer.
mean, I mean, we could put it in a contingency plan that would be a back
Shelter.
shelter, but
Don't they
that's
usually go to the
gone
law enforcement center for stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
It's
cause that's what I mean, there'd be other options first before that would ever be looked
I
at.
would think so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it would be a place for people to gather if, they had problems in their homes and.
Yeah, I mean, you could make it into a warming or cooling shelter for people, but there really ain't gonna be a lot of room for that. But you could probably put 10, 15 cots in the east part of that basement. So.
But wouldn't even the National Guard potentially be used?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's something like that, everything's on the table of what, hands on deck, yeah, so. That really sums it up.
Right,
Yep.
very good. Right, what'd you have?
I'm just gonna add that, Wesco via email is in negotiation, so I'm not gonna give the property name of purchasing a home. I know I've talked previously about them purchasing a lot and building a home, and they're gonna try to do both. There's a home that's available that would fit very nicely, because it's a 5-bedroom. And, how the home works, so they're currently in negotiation with the realtor, to purchase that, and, we have approved them to go ahead and purchase all of the, what do you want to say, all of the materials needed to build also. So, and the other thing that I wanted to touch on, I know I emailed everyone the resolution concerning the, area service C road. And I talked to Colin about it, and Colin believes that there's a different method for how these level C roads become level C roads, and then how they come out. And you can see in there that there's a way for them to go in, and that's in, the fact that what I showed you before is that every landowner that has bordering land needs to sign. And they all approve it, and it goes in, and in order for it to come out, it's a different process. It's not just one of those guys saying, you know what, I don't want it to be a level C road anymore, therefore it comes out. And that's reclassification, and it says a road with an area service C classification shall retain that classification until such a time as a petition for reclassification is submitted to the board, to us. The petition shall be signed by one or more adjoining landowners, and the board shall approve or deny the request for reclassification within 60 days of receipt of this petition.
Okay.
So what would happen is, it doesn't say it has to be a written petition. I would assume that Casey coming before us, wanting it to come out would be him petitioning the board that, hey, I want you to take it out. And so we have 60 days from that date in order to give our
He did.
answer to him. And so I know next week we have the public hearing scheduled, so I would think that would be the time we could give our
And
answer.
it doesn't say anything about, you need so many percentage of land, or it's just one person can
Just-
come and
right.
petition and.
Right, they petition the board and then we decide whether to take it out or not.
Which we're on that path now.
Right,
Does it say written petition?
it doesn't say written petition,
Petition, been petitioned, so
right. So,
I think we're on the path.
so we're on the, right, correct path, so it's a good thing. I'm glad that we tabled it that day in order
Yeah.
to look at, get more information.
Does it say anything about objections though, if,
Does not,
you know, if you've got landowners that object, if they have any say in
Well-
it?
Just past experience with reclassification of these roads that I've been experienced with, if one person objected to it, it would never even come to this board. I mean, people have brought it to Paul and Paul as well. Dave wants the road left alone, he says, so we're waiting on Paul. I think that was kind of outlined in the classification part, is that all landowners must be in favor.
Yep.
So by this saying, if things ever always change and ever evolve, which it did here, a new landowner building a new house back there. He wants it back to level, what it, greater than C,
right,
so. Maybe the way that reads, it's our obligation to give him that. Because he's petitioned for it to be reclassified. No matter, that's just the joys of having adjacent landowners.
We can approve it or not approve it though, because
right.
Yes, we could.
Yeah.
I don't.
What are our obligations though if it's a home? If there's a home,
that is
a residence, a permanent residence, it's occupied.
to me, that's a deal changer, because the reason that it was closed is so people would
So
go
it
back
wasn't.
there and there was nothing back there. Now it's a home. So there's a big reason to have access to it without being locked down every time you want to go.
And really, I think the difference between what the different parties were expressing was simply a level C, they were able to go back there and tell them that this is a
Right.
C road and you need to leave.
Right.
Or a B, they cannot, however. I think the gate would be open regardless, or somebody would come back there.
And he's gonna tell them to leave when they get back there, because of now it is.
Well, and Paul even said putting a dead end sign. Then most people would come up to that might be lost out that way,
Yeah,
or just out for Country Drive. Oh, dead end, don't go down that way.
right. Nobody wants to be on a dead end
I
road.
would think, now kids might think, oh, dead end, I can party back there.
But they're gonna get back there and
And
see
see Casey's
Casey's
house.
house and they're gonna get back.
It's just,
I mean, there is no signage there currently.
There's nothing.
And
There's a
and
gate.
technically, according to the resolution, we should have a sign. I mean, our resolution states area service C road shall have signs conforming to the Iowa Signal Manual per 761 Iowa Administrative Code. The sign shall be installed and maintained by the county at all access points to the area service C roads from other public roads to warn the public that access is limited. So we should have had a sign there since we made it a level C.
Yeah,
Maybe there was, somebody took it.
could've got shot at, who knows?
we have it on
Good
the
information.
agenda.
Yeah.
Good information.
Yep.
Yep, I think that the landowners, because it's been a problem with people going back there and doing shenanigans, they just worried about,
Yeah.
I think they've been worried while Casey's building, that people go back there because there was a bunch of stuff and people wandered back there.
Monetary interest in it or
Oh.
something like that, that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most every landowner
Yeah. We're all.
has people driving on their land when they don't know it
Oh, yeah,
all the time.
All the time.
I guarantee it.
And how do you stop that? I mean,
Yeah.
during coyote hunting season, a good gate don't even stop them.
No,
A padlock gate don't stop them.
no,
Oh, that's true.
but you can try.
You can try,
Good information.
but
So that's
So
all I got.
that's on the agenda for next week again then?
Yep.
Yep, all right, very good.
I won't
Yeah,
be
you won't be here?
I'm gonna try to zoom in, but my
Okay.
flight, they changed my flight.
You'll be down in Florida.
They might screw.
Oh, I was just gonna add one more thing quickly. Found this October 8th, 2002. Board approved employment of Kyle Schultz as maintenance laborer number 2 for secondary roads at the rate of $10.98 an hour with full-time benefits.
Rocking the
What
party.
date was that?
October 8th, 2002.
My second day of employment, we were plowing snow.
Here,
But did you hear your way?
here's your dump truck. Have a good day.
$10.
$10.
$10.98.
98
That was
cents.
good pay back then.
Almost $11.
That was good pay
You
back.
couldn't get two more
Yeah.
pennies?
Yeah.
Make it around 11?
You know, I tried to get 2 more pennies out of the ethanol plant yesterday and didn't work either.
That's all I got.
Are you sure? All right.
Good end.
I really don't have anything. We had a amazing Fourth of July trip to DC. Linda and I took the kids for 2 days. We flew on the 4th. And 2 days at DC and came home on Sunday on LinkedIn. We put on about 8 miles a day of walking, just checking everything out.
Yeah. Great place to go.
Greg, we were at the Capitol tour and our tour guide was telling the story, and then as soon as he started telling the story, I thought of you. Telling the story in your history, and they really, I thought it was an Easter egg. He talked about when the Capitol got burnt by the British. And how, they thought that they were gonna put up a front and stop and win this battle, and they didn't. They said a lot of the soldiers went home to their families or did whatever, and they didn't have this front line to stop us, so the British walked right into the Capitol and burned it. And they had this whole meal cooked and prepared because they thought our troops were gonna stop them and come home and then they're gonna celebrate. So they said they packed up the Declaration of Independence and the things they needed to, and they left. The United States did, and the British walked in and ate our meal. And they burned down the Capitol.
Then burn it
What
down.
a great country, right? The British thought.
Come burn
Let
down
us
our
walk
stuff.
in, give us food.
Have a good time.
But then they even said, so after they ate, the British ate, they sent in some young guy to go start torching everything. And they just went full regalia on the Capitol and they started shooting arrows, flaming arrows into the Capitol. And this poor guy, he got shot. It's inside. Burned out the building, and he ended up, a British soldier ended up dying in the
The
Capitol.
casualty of the
Wow.
attack.
But then they were showing how after that, I think it was LaFont, that was the design engineer of the city. And how he designed different angles throughout DC so that there were direct routes to quick escape. Or that it would screw up, it wasn't all gridded in squares, it would screw up, any invaders of where do I, navigate. We just really,
Spoken wheel.
You say you did go to the Holocaust?
we did, that was my favorite.
Pretty intimidating when you see the pile of shoes.
They didn't have them,
Oh, they didn't
they
have them?
were gone.
Really?
What?
I don't know if they refurbished them, but they had a deal that they were gone.
Oh,
It was packed there. That was one of the busier places, but that was pretty sobering.
yeah, very sobering, exactly.
Just, it was fascinating how though they showed, the history of how Hitler gained his power and, just slowly started picking away at different groups within the country and just he became full dictator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite stops.
Kids learn a lot.
The kids, I told the kids they were not as wild about it as Linda and I. They wanted to go somewhere, but I said, this is something that you appreciate down the road more and more. But they did have a good time seeing everything.
Yeah, it's an experience.
I was interested in telling Ty, it's too bad and unfortunate, and you don't know who did it, but Lincoln Memorial was shut down because they had, someone took a can of spray paint and spray painted all over it. So right there, but couldn't go in to go see it. It's like, I don't care what your reasoning is, it's not
Don't defame our.
right. It's just sad that people would do something like that. And then the Supreme Court, we were gonna tour that, and that was shut down because they were worried about radical threats of attacks on the Supreme Court after the immunity ruling. And it's like,
You know, that's something you want your kids to see, though, is that when you walk in there and you look up at Lincoln there, that's so impressive. And then you look around at some of the script stuff they've got stamped in there and wrote, you know, I'm sorry you guys didn't get it, because your kids will love it.
And we were right there. We were literally, I mean, up as close as you could get, but it's just too bad that
No.
people take it that far.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I hope they have cameras that they can try to figure out who did it. and have some-
Everybody wears a mask anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's the other.
When they're
part.
gonna do something wrong,
Seems
they've got their
perfectly
damn
normal to
mask
have a
on.
mask on.
Yeah, it was neat, when we were at the National Mall for the fireworks, we got in that afternoon. And it was wall to wall people there, and they had at the Washington Memorial, that whole hillside was just packed with people. And then they had it along the side where we were, and then along the Lincoln Memorial, of course, it shut off up top, they had that whole west end of people. And on the George Washington side, I don't know who started, but one guy put his phone up with his light on, it was dark, and that whole side just lit up.
They lit up all their phones.
They lit up all their phones, so then the west side by Lincoln Memorial, they lit up all their phones.
Oh,
And
cool.
then the sides, of course, and it's just neat to see. I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder people.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I like
But too many
that.
people for me.
But you
Well,
want.
you know what? It's neat to see though, something like that, you get all them people together and everybody's got goodwill.
Yeah,
That's when it's impressive, when you stop and think about that. All them people there with good intent. And you can get in and out of the area and, you know, still got some good Americans out there. Good
I wanna
people,
say
period.
they said there's like 1.5 million. Not that there's all in the mall, but 1.5 million that watched the fireworks.
I wouldn't have enjoyed that.
It's impressive.
I don't like big crowds.
You know, that's half the state of Iowa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of shoulder to shoulder people I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it was something your kids will remember for
Forever.
a lifetime.
Yeah,
So,
awesome. Well, you made it back in time for your meeting, so that's good.
Yeah, made it
I
back
would
Thursday
like-
night, we've got Region 12 meeting.
Rick was here last night at the CDC thing.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Really good,
Yeah, Debbie had quite the presentation.
really good presentation.
Yeah, lots of,
Kinda heard some echo of what you heard already in here.
yeah,
That was pretty neat.
it really was. It really was.
Debbie Durham,
Yep, yep.
They did the ground breaking at the wellness center yesterday, and then she stuck around for the CDC. She was the, it was a smaller crowd at the dinner itself, I thought.
yeah, it was a little bit less than I thought it would be. I wonder if they just didn't advertise, the number of people are so busy. Oh, sorry. One time I don't turn the damn thing off.
You might know it. Nobody knows it's Tuesday and you're busy.
Oh, that's a spam. They don't care.
They don't care. So you're done, Dave?
Yep.
All right. Ty, what do you have?
Well, I don't have a lot from last week. Obviously, we're busy walking our heinies off in parades,
We
but
did have a good
Yeah,
time doing
yeah.
parades.
we did have a bunch of that. But, I do got one thing, and Kyle had started bringing it up before about these contracts for the, solar people that are going around. Stephanie might try to get here during our citizens input to give you a little bit more. But, I got some stuff here. A lot of these companies that are coming in, they come in with some great big, proposals for what they'll cash rent for. I mean, sounds like it's a great deal, but just say they came in and leased an 80-acre piece, but only used 5 acres of it for solar field. They'll pay you that large number for the 5 acres that has the solar field on it, but the rest they have the lease on, they can comp you. So you gotta make sure you're reading these contracts in detail. But these are out-of-state companies, and they're, let me see if I can find where it reads that. Senate File 2356. Obviously REC is registered and, opposed to that, but, it's not even, I mean, they're making these proposals that aren't even legal yet. I mean, because this doesn't exist, so REC is wanting to make sure, in particular to our farmers, and that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it in the open meeting. Make sure if you have these people show up, make sure you get a good attorney, that this is their wheelhouse, so that you don't get took on anything, you
the
know?
way Stephanie explained it to me was that in lieu of the Senate file, these companies are trying to get all these acres signed up. That way they can take it to their lobbyists in Des Moines and say, well, the state must be in favor of it. Look at all these acres we have signed up. So that Senate file, if I understood it correctly, was kind of a deal that almost just grants eminent domain to anybody who wants to build clean energy in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
But we always said this could be a slippery slope.
And it's getting to be very slippery, because they are talking in contracts with a pronged tongue or whatever. Yeah, they wanna tie your land up for 40 years.
What do they do with the additional, like, you said if they need 5 acres, but they're gonna sign up 80, what do they do with 75? Lease it back, or the farmer just gets to?
Whatever they want, I
Whatever
guess.
they wanna do, the way it sounds to me.
The contract I had personally in front of me tied up all 4 parcels of my 130 acres.
Jeez.
I mean, it was just a blanket my farm.
Really?
Yeah, and Mark Spiegel, which is south of me, was kind of the same way. It just blanketed the whole farm.
Is anybody falling for that? I mean, does anybody?
Not that I know of. I mean, us neighbors, we all were in contact with each other in regards to what. I read through it, and I told Mark, it's, boy, I don't think, you do what you want, but it sounds kind of suspicious to me, especially the first offer usually is.
Yeah, I hope you
We
don't.
both researched it and both come up with the same little side type thing, but then Stephanie was very good. So I reached out to them because it's not tied to Whitco, it's not tied to NIPCO. Cause that, we got the NIPCO line running through our property, so I figured, who's gonna want the energy? But Mid-American was the one that was, they also get fed off of that through Pete's Charter Oak and. So, here again, I'm guessing that was the player trying to Mid-American.
What was your offer per acre for
$1,200
for your 130 acres?
$1,200 an acre for the acres they use. But they have the controlling factor over the rest of them, because they are the leaseholder of the whole farm.
So it sounded to me like even if they wanted to put up wind towers, they could. That's
For-
kind of how I
for a
understood it.
year.
Now, I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
I'm
per
not
year,
aware.
but it wasn't specific to 5 acres in the northeast quarter or the southeast quarter, or, it was not specific, it was just,
Was it a letter or did somebody come?
it was a letter from a attorney's office out in Florida.
Yeah, well,
And it was
that's around,
fast,
it'd
too,
be
like-
$1,200 on 5 acres, but you don't get nothing for the other 75.
And then they control it, basically they have the right to control it, so.
I'd stay, I'd buyer beware.
Yeah, and it was kind of a tactic, you got it in the mail and said you have till April 10th, which was like 2 weeks away to sign. I'm like,
You know how many people got those letters?
anybody that I could figure was, they were just following that main transmission line.
That one that you're.
And specifically close to a substation. So
They
that's
said,
all all that I knew.
when you got it, they weren't gonna offer to pay for your attorney. I heard another tactic they're using now is they might be paying for attorneys for you to go get an
Do they
attorney.
get a pick, are they picking which attorney to get?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know about
They're
that.
bringing them out.
That's what I was wondering, you know, if you
They're
get to
bringing
pick
them
your own
out.
attorney, good. Might be a little pricey for them, but you can go down and get, Eldon down in Des Moines or somebody that's their wheelhouse,
they're probably not doing it.
But
But it was more of a ploy just to get acres signed up as well, how Stephanie that's why they're definitely registered against that.
Did Stephanie know how many, if anybody had signed up?
She did not,
say anything to me about it.
she just was going off by people that had reached out to
Reached out
her.
to Whitco.
Yeah,
I think they're asking questions, thankfully.
Right,
I think, and whenever you got somebody that's trying to rush you, like you said, they got that deadline, well, that always that's like the first red flag for me.
Yeah.
I mean, well, what's the hurry here? They're trying to rush you into a bad decision. We've had that happen before here.
Yes.
I'm guessing they want it before the next legislative session comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah. So they can use it like you
And
said.
that might have been why the rush was. Maybe it was gonna be the last minute move down in Des Moines already, if they could have rolled up with, look at all these acres we got just past it.
11th hour bill. It could be, Kyle. Very good point. So anyway, I don't know that she's got some stuff here. I'm not supposed to. That's still to go through, just for me to be able to help you with any questions you might have, but. I think it's something that we need to just make sure that we were making public to the farmers so that they're. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying, make sure you're careful
I
what.
think that's how Stephanie came across on me. She said, I'm not here to tell you can't do it, just want you to be educated
You know,
and,
go to all the trouble so you don't have somebody. Well, like you said, they got control of all your property. I mean, on green energy stuff, I mean. Put a windmill right next to your house or, at least within our court of what we've got for our management stuff. That's probably a good reason we got that. So that's, and I've asked Martha a couple different times. I haven't heard anything back yet. But as far as start working on a solar ordinance, Stephanie thought that when I was talking to her about if she knew of anybody, she thinks Woodbury start too. I don't know anybody on that board anymore, so now that Rocky's not up there, do you,
Woodbury,
you guys?
but. Yeah.
I
I don't
mean,
know anybody
if some-
personally, but,
if we could talk to somebody up there to see what they're,
Yeah.
how they're
I
progressing.
think they put
Webpage.
an ordinance against like all green energy in Woodbury County to protect the Lus Hills and stuff, they're getting a lot of pushback from. I believe,
I think
what
you're
I've
right.
seen on the news is that.
Well, I don't know if I just wondered, kind of wondered about the solar stuff, what people are coming up with. And
You got anybody
Martha,
up there?
last time on the wind energy, when we did that, she gave me examples of ordinances, heck, all over the Midwest. That's kind of how we crafted ours, using all that stuff.
Got anyone on the Yes Center from Woodbury?
No, they're
They're not
not a
in.
member. Don Castle, he lives, Plymouth is right next to it, so. I can reach out to him and find out.
Maybe he knows something.
Yep.
He's pretty well informed up in his neck of the woods. Assume he ain't underwater. Other than that, I don't know if I had any calls that I didn't already take care of.
Jeremy Taylor.
Everything else that has anything to do with who I received a call from is on the agenda, so.
Well, we could squeeze Jake in here since he's up here and if he wants
Jake?
to talk about his mini splitter. Do you want to do that? Or do you have more stuff to talk about, Ty?
No, I'm good. I mean, like I said, pretty much everything's on the agenda that I got called about.
All right, we'll squeeze you in here. Get you back to work.
This is a quote for the mini split that we got last week, for City Center. Looking at it, it seems pretty reasonable to me, looking at what we paid for in the past for mini splits. Specifically, the last mini split that we purchased was 8,500. If you count, and that was in 2022, if you count for inflation a little bit, you're pretty close to, I think you're about $700 high on it, but I think ultimately, I think it'll serve every purpose that we need. I've got no reservations about it. I recommend to the board that this is a good, device to go with. So,
Mitsubishi is
yeah, and that's pretty much what we've got in the courthouse, so, from my understanding.
How long will it take for them to get it here?
I have not talked to them about that particular function yet.
Okay.
As far as, yeah, sooner the better, obviously. I can talk to Justin about that and, see where we're at with it. Obviously, that's gonna take some time to order and get in. But I'll remark to him about we want to try to get this expedited as quickly as possible.
covering that out of your budget.
Well, that's the other thing that's up for kind of discussion here, because this was an infrastructure item to me. According to what we passed off with Corey, Gaskell, that was one aspect of it, and it was the understanding that the construction side of it would be pulled from someplace else. So, now whether that's ARPA dollars, that's up for discussion. I don't know where. But it was not in my budget to start putting in equipment, or not equipment, but infrastructure items for the server room. So,
The ARPA boat's left the harbor.
I'm sorry,
The ARPA boat has left the harbor. It's
Yeah.
empty.
okay,
So
so I don't know what the.
hopefully it's going back for more, but I don't doubt it.
Can't wait till it's all gone, to be honest.
Yeah, it's good.
I bet you,
Pain in the ass. It is.
but no, I do believe that
We're trying to help.
the bones of this were always discussed to be out of capital or whatever. So
Okay, see, and I didn't,
Staying with the building, be like you having to pay for the furnace.
yep, and I wasn't privy to those conversations, so. But
Let's
Which
get
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah,
How many
I say get it
grants
ordered.
do you ever find to build?
it's a desert for me, for the most part. Occasionally we find one or another, like every couple of years, like for instance, there was a cybersecurity grant that came down that was supposed to come to the Iowa counties, but Shane Dwyer, the CIO, I believe it is, for Dom Dewitt, intervened because it has to be dispersed by the state, and he shuttled those funds off to Iowa State to provide us services.
that was,
Director
it was a
Paulson had
size-
a hole in that.
it was a sizable amount too.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
millions of dollars, right?
So, yeah,
And just
it
all got
was.
shoved to Iowa State.
Yeah, the intent, what Iowa State is offering, and it's something I've considered, but I don't know how. Is they do offer training for, it's an abbreviated kind of course in cybersecurity. Their classes are roughly running from like 8 weeks. So that they're offering to the counties. I've looked into it a little bit, but I've been kind of focused on other things at the moment, so I haven't really looked at, is this something that I want to pursue? So, but yes, it is out there. There's also some other things that were going on. We've got that's with Iowa State, they're offering UB keys free. Which might be something that we could consider for passwordless authentication in the future. I don't know if that will run dry by the time we get there, but it's a possibility. The big one that's always in the back of my mind, but there's always a lot of strings attached. It's a cybersecurity grant for election equipment that we can kind of get into. I think it's about $10,000 that allows us to upgrade laptops or swap something out or something along those lines, but there's a lot of strings.
You know how to
attached.
write all that stuff?
What's that?
You know how to write all them grants?
I've never written a grant before, so I'm gonna have to get some sort of lesson in grant writing if I decide to start pursuing those. So,
Be nice if we could.
yeah.
You
Real
have
nice.
$595 in your budget?
Can make something work in there, yeah. What, you got something in mind there, Ty?
I'm gonna send you a link.
Okay.
Over.
Very good.
Go ahead. Keep it.
Do we want to have a motion to get that ordered and we have a discuss and
Yep, that's in
take
there.
action?
Other
So we
than
can keep that room moving,
On its
so
way,
that when
dude.
it's the upstairs is done, we can get.
You got a grant writing thing down in Omaha.
something.
Yeah, I mean, the question was posed about the generators, so I wonder if Carroll Control does all our stuff already from. I wanna keep it moving.
Say maybe Carroll Controls have another option for us for that.
Well, I'm just reading this, that low ambient cooling down to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, it's specific design for an IT room, I believe. so.
That is correct, in case when we start getting into winter and it's still kicking out heat, you still need to be able to cool it, so.
So,
That's just like
Carroll could have
out there in the
combination with that. and-
tower shelters in the winter, they'll cool it themselves because that heat, it generates some, especially like out there at Ridge Road, that's got so
Yeah.
much stuff. That generates a lot of heat.
And the current server room downstairs, they've got, that one has the exact same
no,
type of
I
AC in
don't,
it,
I just,
so, or device, so.
is this subject to bid? this 9750 is below, I'm comfortable with, but what repercussions would there be? I mean, they're doing all the other ACs.
Have you in the past, or have you talked to Carroll Control? I mean, since you're doing the rest of it, do they offer some type of addition to their cooling and heating that would
It's gotta be
take care of what
specific,
this
just,
Mitsubishi would be?
Gotta be individual for this specifically, right? Is that what you're saying?
So what, like, are you guys asking about like a support contract or something?
No, I just mean if,
they're putting 4 furnaces and air conditioners in
Oh,
already.
maybe lumping it in and getting some discount pricing associated with that, is that what you?
we're that, and if they have something that fits the needs of what this would.
I mean, we're buying 4 furnaces, is there a volume discount for buying 5?
Okay, I mean, I can ask them.
And
Yeah.
and when, at some point in time, we have to, I was over there this morning, there's like 5 units out there for 4 furnaces now, that gotta be cleaned up.
I'm gonna mention, I know that quote
There's
is,
5 AC units for 4 furnaces, so I don't know, one's just junk sitting there, and then nobody ever took it away or what, so.
You can find a ride down to Shaw's, is that what you're telling me?
Looks like there's quite a bit of stuff right in that back corner that needs to go to Shaw's, but anyway,
Mhm.
just check on that, see if we can get a little better volume
Yeah.
discount.
Never hurt to check.
Mhm.
All come in at
And
the
then
same
if they're
time.
doing the maintenance on everything else.
And they're gonna be there putting all of it in.
And the sooner the better.
Yeah, yesterday's.
No.
Yesterday, they soon enough.
Yeah.
All right, so bring that back. Do we need to bring it back or?
Let's,
What I didn't do is check into it.
Okay, just table it for now and come back next week.
Sounds good.
sure,
Okay,
Get information prior, you could send it out to us, so we kind of have a idea. Be fine, keep the ball rolling.
Got her?
okay.
Got
Yeah.
it? All
Um,
right.
was there any additional, like, with the other items on the agenda with me as far as generator or?
No, I think
Server room?
No, the generator will be taking care of, the one we're getting will take care of your server room.
Yep, so,
you gotta take care of the freezer too, so it's not unique just to your area.
right, so, yep,
So we're good.
okay,
Thanks, so.
You need to get back to your,
we'll do.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Engineer.
Hey, Paul,
Good morning.
always right on time, it's amazing.
Ready. There you go. Let's see. Oh, there's some more there. There's a couple. How was everything this morning?
Great, beautiful day.
Boy, it is, yeah, these mornings are nice.
Cool mornings.
Nice, cool mornings, yeah.
Kind of spoiling the heck out of us, isn't it?
Yeah. Just a permit there from Western Iowa Power, so the service there. Primary line? Yeah. Underdone or reached, it's a primary service there, so. The construction projects, Dixon 3016, they're got their bypass channel, got the old structure out. You know, slow but sure, just continue to, work away at that, so looks like really good weather for the next 10 days, so. Once they get up and out of the hole, it's always a lot better for them. Same thing with our guys. Manila Maintenance Shop, did you get a chance to drive by there over the weekend, take a look at concrete?
I was there the day the concrete was poured, started whatever that day that was last week.
Yeah, last Wednesday.
I did last Wednesday.
Yep, did a really nice job. So,
Did not put my hand for it.
Oh.
Craig.
Only you can do that.
So it turned
Been there
out
forever.
really nice. And so we'll be doing kind of a walkthrough later this week and he'll have to rest. So good project. So.
Probably here for a lot of
We're
years.
gonna do it. Oh, yeah, that'll be there for 75 years. Nice shop. So
Nice.
Henry can come around the corner on that cold winter day, push the button and the door opens. He drives in and pushes the button and the door closes
Oh,
and get out of his machine. There's nice floor drains that actually work. That shop is bad down there. Cause the floor drain didn't work. at all. And so, you know, there'd be that much water underneath the machine, and now he'll be able to go in there and all be dry. So, you know.
Remember the days when he was an asphalt, and you have to get out and he would go open up the.
Yeah, still have some of those,
Yeah.
but it'll be nice.
Just the
They're
changes.
exciting.
Good job to have done.
It is, yeah. So we'll have a luncheon slash kind of open house there maybe later this summer. Where we, you know, a lot of times we'll have our safety merchants in the new shop. So it'll be nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great crew just south of town. If you get a chance, going south, you know, pull off a 59 there right by.
I already checked them out.
Yeah, by Buck Road.
By Von Tertius.
By Von Tertius right there. Just take a drive through there.
Did they have much rain the other night there to slow them down or?
I think just a tenth or two, you know, 3/10 up here, so it didn't really slow it down much.
Shut down the dust.
Yeah, yeah, so that's going real well. Bridge crew, this is probably one of the larger structural plate projects that we've done. And, it's just east of town here on N Avenue between 320th and 330th, so. We did hit a cable there yesterday, phone lines, 25 pair of thin copper, but we don't know who it belongs to. We haven't heard anything and no one showed up, so we continue to move on.
Oh, my.
That's probably just an abandoned line, but, you know, it was only a foot and a half below the stream bed. I mean, normally they bore now, they're supposed to bore like 6 to 8 feet below the stream bed. And we were just worn out to, you know, get a base in there. So.
Huh.
Yeah, it's always kind of a little bit of a heart stopper.
Right. I did.
Something that wasn't supposed to be there or you didn't know about. But it, you know, there's, you know, we haven't heard anything from anybody, and we made a few phone calls, and we can't seem to track it down, so it wasn't on one phone. So we're assuming it's abandoned. Yeah, that'll be, probably next week sometime, they'll be, you know, working on the structural plate. You know, if you get a chance to go over there, take a look. So, happens to be one of the hottest parts of the summer, so nothing like working in a structural plate by putting bolts in it. On a hot summer day.
How big diameter is this?
14, yeah, so it's one of the bigger ones I've been, and long. Yeah, it's a long,
120 foot.
so, yeah, yeah. It's a big one. Deep channel, it's a good fit for that particular location, so. So yeah, we've got that, the bargaining unit and administrative wages, and the roadside, they're just spraying right now.
They get it figured out this morning.
They're still working on it, I think. Well, I don't see the pickups out there now, so I think they're getting it figured out.
What was wrong with it?
It's a data logger, so we know we need to log, you know, where we're at, and it's just not recording, so. Trying to get that, it's the old one, it's 23, 24 years old now, so.
Green's been running a bad decision. The tractor spray truck.
Yeah, I told him, I says, you tell me which one's more important. But we'll get it updated, you know, that'll be on next year's budget. I mean, it's just, it's got.
I'll get through it.
I told him
We'll get through it, we'll get through it. Yeah, I mean, they can still spray, they're just not able to accurately log. Now we can get all that, we can track all the weather data that we have to record the other truck, but can't track exactly where we sprayed, you know, it's got a system that'll tell you exactly which nozzle's on, where it's at, so you can print out of every mile that shows where it's sprayed. And we need to have that. But so I'm trying to get it all figured out here, so.
Now that's the truck you want to replace.
Yeah, it's just an older unit.
Somebody might like it,
Replacement parts are hard to come by. That's what happens with that older stuff. It still kind of work, you know, it does most of what it needs to do, but it's getting. So
Most of what it's supposed to
yeah, it won't happen. Bargaining unit and administrative, you should have those. They
Yep,
are
they do.
right there,
Yep.
and so they're exactly what was approved in the bargaining unit. Everything was approved, so. So that's all in order. If you want to take action on that.
I make a motion to approve bargaining unit administrative employee wage rates.
Second.
Right, any further discussion? Everybody had a chance to review them? I'll call the motion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Next item is purchase of 10,000 ton of maintenance gravel and pallet materials. This is why we still want to continue to work and have relationships with these people, because ordering gravel is like ordering salt.
you don't know how much you're gonna need, you know, I mean, our roads look really good the last few years, you know, in the spring, we got, you know, then all of a sudden it rains 14 inches in weeks.
This
And
is
so
regular gravel.
It's just maintenance gravel that we're getting from pallets, and to kind of supplement what we'd already ordered. I had 110,000 ton purchased, and, you know, we're gonna probably run a few thousand tons short of having enough to go on roads, which we could always pull out of the stockpiles. We had to, we still have 5,000 tons sitting over in Hampton that we can't get to because it's flooded. You know, so this is just kind of, you know, a lot of years I'll get 135 to 140,000 tons, so.
So that's 9 ton, that's Hallett's price,
That's
put the
Hallett's.
trucking on something like that.
Well, it's 22 cents a ton mile, and so, you know, the material at Stratford is 10% crushed limestone is $8.03. We gotta haul it another 10 miles, so we gotta add another $2.20 onto that. You know, and that material cost is more, but I think it's better material, it's more reliable. But yeah, you're trucking, we're over $1 million in trucking. Aggregate. So we should talk to your fellow supervisors in other counties where they have piles of gravel sitting right there. I mean, that's a huge item for us.
Huge.
Yeah, to get material here on our system.
Huge.
But this definitely filled the gap of our needs.
Yeah, well, this will, and we probably won't even need all of that, but I'm gonna probably eventually take all of that and put some stockpiles. Just to supplement those, so. You know, every year it's nice to get the roads covered, you get about 15 to 20,000 ton back in your stockpiles, because in the springtime, we're drawing out of those. You know, and get throughout the year, we're not hauling, so. Maybe we're
What's the
sitting,
price of gravel got in the last decade?
probably doubled, yeah. 10 years.
Seems like, just since I've been on here, it's been like the upper sixes to.
$4.50 to $5 in places.
So,
Yeah. So. But the trucking is really good. So, yeah, it's gone up a lot. Yeah,
$2.27 operating cost a mile for trucking this year. I mean, that's the average across the nation, so.
and we're on the low side of the rate, since none
None of our costs are made up.
Right.
Okay, every penny for us is $30,000. Just an average penny at that mile is gonna really be about 30 grand a year. So we're on the low end, you know, kind of bottom dollar. So, but I know it's gonna be usually 30 to maybe more in some places. So, anyhow,
I'll make that motion to approve item number 5.
Second.
Any further discussion? Now, all motion, all in favor, aye. Chair votes aye. Been approved.
and then, got word yesterday, Highway 59 south of Denison is, gonna be closed next Thursday, the 18th. And we're gonna spray the dust control sites that we identified next Monday and Tuesday to get ahead of the traffic. You're bound to get phone calls because there's gonna be, that road closes. They're
How
gonna
long is
be
it supposed to be closed?
6 to 8 weeks.
It'll be a.
It's
We'll
on
get a few
it's on a
calls.
fast track project is what it's supposed to be. So this is a good time to have it closed. As far as, you know, we're concerned, I mean, it's, you know, we're not planting, a lot of the spraying will be done, not harvesting, so it's really timing out pretty good.
School's not going us.
No school, there's just a lot of good reasons why this is a good time to have it done. So hopefully it falls into that 6 to 8 week time frame. Get that thing done and get back. So, the late summer auction, we don't have a whole lot on there, just to make you aware of it, it'll be August 20th, and a couple of pickups, a couple of air compressors. Some plant beams, pipe. So, the road reclassification next week, just making you aware if any of you want to. I know Craig and I went up and took a look at it. If anybody wants to go look at it, if you want to just drive up through yourself, just take a look.
I drove up there.
But I will not be here. My wife is having surgery that day. That's been scheduled. I have no day at work, so I won't be here that day. So,
We have all of our.
but I can, you know, depending on what's going on, I'll try to call in if you want me to.
I think-
I don't think it'll be.
If I can, but But anyhow, just to make you aware of that. What's going on. So, and then the county engineer vacancy and position description. So I did send the vacancy to Craig and Jean and Jack. Jack had one comment, and I'm gonna give everyone a copy of what I typed up. The 2 years, and I'm a little on the fence on that, but professional license or able to obtain a license within 2 years. Seems like a long time to not have a licensed engineer, but, because there's just a lot of things that.
Would you give you that?
Jack, well, no, I wrote this.
Okay.
Jack gave me a little 2-paragraph thing and I took another one out of another county and kind of modified it. But I sent it to him, I sent it to him to
But we
review it.
can't do bridges or stuff on, what is it that Monona County couldn't do because they didn't have a licensed engineer?
Well, they weren't able to have projects. I mean, you have to have a licensed engineer or someone, so it just seems to me like, best case scenario is you hire somebody with a license.
Right.
Um,
So Paul, are assistant engineers licensed?
some are.
Some are, some are.
Yeah, some are, some are. You get into some of the bigger metropolitan areas, the urban areas, you've got, an engineer that, and then there's like 2 licensed
But
engineers.
every county, current county engineer that you're aware of in the state of Iowa is licensed.
They have to be.
They have to,
Yeah, by
okay.
law, yeah. So that I put in 1 year. He came back and said, well, normally it's 2, but I'll let you guys hash that out with Jack.
How close is it been to having his?
He's got to take the exam. Yeah, so he could be licensed. Yeah.
Just thinking it
So,
through that,
yeah.
if he was licensed, I mean, he could still sign off on projects
Mhm.
accordingly.
So would you say that got 4 years and then they take the exam?
Right, and see, he's had the experience, or, now they've changed it, so you can take the exam. And then if you pass, then you just have to wait till you have 4 years of experience, then you get your license. It used to be you had to have 4 years of experience, then take the exam and pass and so,
Which is kind of nice because if you come straight off schooling, I'd hate to 4 years later have to try to take an
take the
exam.
exam.
Yeah.
But that exam is a lot different than
Than you learn in civil engineering.
than what it's more practicing engineers and so, so it's a different type of exam, but definitely the engineer in training exam you want to take right out of college. I could probably never pass that today.
Does Ben have intentions to take the
He
exam?
took the EIT and he's passed that. Actually, he's taking that. That's part of the reason he wasn't gonna go on the tour, the CAT tour, because he was gonna take it that day, one of those days that we would be gone, so. Yeah, that's a possibility. Well, so. The other thing that I added in here was the management of the roadside department. I hadn't had that in there when I sent it out to you, but that needs to be in here too. So I put that in the announcement. The other thing regarding the announcement is the salary. I just put DOQ depending on qualifications. I think you might want to visit with Jack about where you really want to go there. And then the one that I kind of looked at, they had relocation assistance available. So I don't know if that's anything. So I'll give everyone one of these, and then I currently don't have a position description, but I created one. And I'll give you a copy of this too. But something you probably need to look over in the next week or so and get back to me and get it from, kind of get it with Jack, so then we can get this thing posted. Yeah. So there's that, and those are just kind of, copies that I kind of. Give me your feedback on those at front and back on both of those. And so, it's probably a good idea to get that posted here sooner rather than later. Apparently there's 6 openings now in the state. So. So let me know your thoughts, and then I'm gonna scan and email or email both of those documents to Jack today too. And to have him kind of, and I'll have Craig and Jean kind of in that loop, so not everybody has to, or however you guys want to do it, but I want everybody to see document and comment on it, provide feedback. There's just a couple of things that need to be answered on there. And then get that ready to sit down. Okay. So. And good news, on revenues. Really, really nice end of the year deposit revenue tax. So that's you're gonna end up
10%
400,000 more than I had estimated initially in revenues. We'll get more expenses too, but they were.
I mean, so I know one of the stuff you sent out, you had that relocation assistance
I
question.
had it highlighted in a question mark. I don't know if you want to throw that in the announcement or not. You know.
Okay, I thought it was a good idea.
I think it's a great idea myself, but I want to leave it up to you guys.
Okay.
I mean, if you've got somebody that's local and they need a little assistance to kind of get.
Right, I don't know if you want to put there like relocation assistance available upon request or
Yeah,
something like that.
again, I don't know how Jack, that's kind of
Right.
not my wheelhouse, but I think, some of these questions, probably are better directed to Jack to say, what do you think?
Right,
I think that's pretty common anymore.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
you may have a really, really good candidate who just says, hey, I don't know if I can afford to
Right,
pay the cost to move everybody here. Might just be the carrot that gets that person here.
Could be, because it is expensive to pack up.
Yeah.
No matter how you do it.
Yep.
I got a question. What, this got proposed to me over the year. What is our plans for that county line bridge? The ones that you guys went out and took pictures on?
what Ty Ward Bridge?
4-ton bridge over there.
Or Bailey
west
Bridge.
edge.
That's still in the program for 2026, but I'm gonna leave that up to the new person. Somebody else will get to design that.
Yeah, the Mercer
Personally-
County's been in kind of a limbo with their
Yeah.
engineers, so, I think we need to,
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
need to meet again.
yeah, personally, there's a way out. That's gonna be a very expensive project. But
Is that a big bridge then? Cause that's deeper than it is right, like by Poochie's there. House Bridge.
it's a big bridge, no matter how you attack it. It's just a big drainage area. And, the 4-ton bridge has been fine for a long, long time. It's not perfect, but it's accommodated the need. So, it's in the program.
Oh, that's why I was.
So it's in the 2026 program. And like you said, I'll have everything ready for 2025. So we also have to figure out 2026 stuff. I mean, there'll be stuff we'll be working on. The asphalt plans, that sort of stuff. But, that's where it's at right now.
I think I was thinking too, we probably should just have another joint meeting out there, just maybe their new engineer has totally different plans.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't want to participate anymore, because it's gonna be double participation. bridge.
Yeah, and it's gonna be local money.
Yeah.
So unless you wanna go build a big concrete bridge there, which will probably be 1.2, $1.5 million. And that's not out of the question. Not saying it isn't.
Is that, is a bridge that big out of our guys' hands?
Yeah, probably. That's
just asking.
It is.
They're good, but I don't
Yeah,
wanna
it is.
overtap you.
Here's what I would recommend that we probably would end up with this is something similar to pouches, but we're gonna take a look at it because you're just farther downstream, a little more drainage, a little bigger channel. But that was a joint venture. We had bid the substructure construction, all of that work, setting the beams, then we came in and put the deck on and the railing, finished it off. So we did kind of a hybrid.
We did some of it.
We did part of it. Yeah, we bid the
It's gotta be deeper there. I mean, you're close, you're further into the low sill soil, kind of big channel.
So.
Say, Paul, before you leave, what's your thoughts on the secondary roads clothing allowance?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's do
So anyhow,
We got.
here's what I told the guys, because I heard there was, some pushback. I said, you got no one to blame but me. Okay, if there's concern about the withholdings on that, because I knew that. Amy said, if we just give a check, we're gonna have withholdings. I said, well, here's the other option. First of all, not everybody would get boots every year. They'd have to turn in a receipt for that, whatever the boot cost was, up to $200, they'd get a reimbursement for that. Probably 60 to 70% of the people did get a boot every year. Well, in fact, much less, much more than that. They would get them every other year, maybe every third year, and so, but they had to bring in receipts. And so, I said, well, with a clothing allowance, how do you manage that on a receipt basis. Okay, well, you know, if somebody brings in a $19.99 receipt for a shirt at Baumgart's or, you know, $39.99 receipt, you know, you gotta collect all these. And so what I told the guys, you know, after I heard all this, I said, here's the deal. I said, I want to blame somebody, blame me. Because I want to make it simple. I didn't want to have anybody have to think about what they were to do. You got a $250 check, they withhold the taxes. You make sure one thing, you got steel toe boots on, okay? So I'm gonna ask, is you gotta have steel toe boots. So the option B is, I told them all this the other day, I said, you tell me what you want to do is that each employee then brings in a receipt, because the IRS isn't gonna let you just give people money and not tax it. You have to have some sort of reimbursement. So all the guys would be responsible for keeping their receipts for eligible clothing related to safety apparel. And when they get to $250, they turn it in, and we'll give them a check for $250. Okay, we're not gonna remind anybody. If they forget about it, comes June 30th, they haven't collected it, haven't thought about it, haven't bought anything, haven't done anything, they don't get a check. So I said, you tell me what you want me to do.
Okay.
And when you get enough receipts up to $250, they turn it in, send a check. So that's the other option. They said, I'm not gonna send a check. Haven't heard a word from anybody.
Okay.
So I don't know. I said, that's why I thought it was simple. Nobody ever had to think about it. You just get a check, make sure you have steel toe boots, and then you can go buy your clothes, whatever you need to buy, you know, and I thought it was very simple. No one even has to think about it. We just automatically get that check every year anyway.
Paul, I talked to
So-
Jared Anastasi after this, through it, you know,
Yeah.
Adam and Henry was there as well, but they had rather prefer the reimbursement.
It's fine with me. Yeah,
And
they just have
then
to
when
make
we
sure.
negotiated, maybe it was misunderstanding on my part too as well. I did not realize the technicality of, you know, we said
Yeah.
a receipts upon request are you have to have versus you have to have all of them.
Yeah,
Threw it into an allowance versus
well, if you,
reimbursement.
yeah, if you get audited and you don't have receipts, you don't have any justification, the IRS is gonna say, well, we're gonna tax you. So we're gonna have to have the receipts. So.
Amy had
And if
told
they
me,
forget about it, you know, I mean, like with, you know, their vacation and stuff, we try to call them and remind them, you know, but I said, I'm not gonna do that. We don't have time to call and we're not gonna babysit this
No,
operation.
right.
No,
Okay,
Exactly.
and so if you guys forget about it, or somebody doesn't turn in receipts, or you don't have enough to $250, whatever you turn in, up to $250, that's what you get.
so
All right, that's.
to rectify,
Coming in case there was any questions.
Yeah.
well, Paul, since it's been sent out, the
Yeah.
only way to really change this, if that's what we choose to do, would be to
We'd have to deduct it on the next check.
Yeah.
deduct on next check, and then they would have to keep their their receipts until they get up to the 250.
Or at the end of the fiscal year, if they only have
Or if they turn,
185.
or if they turn it in at the end of the year and they only have 185, whatever they have, they turn in. Whatever they have, they turn in. But we're not gonna issue checks for this, for that, for that. It's
Right.
like, no.
I agree.
It has
I
to be
agree
able
with
to
that.
do that.
We're not holding the receipts.
No.
They need to be responsible for the
They-
receipts
they-
until they turn them
Until they
in.
turn them in.
Yes.
Yes.
They have.
When they turn them in,
30th to do that.
staple them all together, put it in a file. and move on.
Shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah.
And
It will be,
It will. And
So
it needs to be
people will-
before
pe-
June
pe-
30th
people
because
will
the
forget.
last paycheck
yeah,
It should be.
doesn't happen on June
yeah,
30th, so
yeah. I mean, I don't know,
Just
I mean, be presumptive, but I've just been around long enough to know that it will.
it won't happen. I mean, yeah. And then they'll be
Yeah.
mad that it didn't
If they
happen.
didn't get it.
Well,
That's
They got
one
one
big-
person to blame. I know, exactly.
But this puts the burden on them and chips fall where they may.
Exactly.
I'm fine.
And it's all or none.
I'm
All or
fine.
none,
but we
right?
wanna make sure.
Yes.
All or
I-
none. We're not
everybody's-
having two policies.
There's not
We're
gonna
not
be two ways
having-
of doing it. Everybody's
No.
doing it one way or the other.
Right.
Is the majority,
One way.
is it the
Yes.
majority that's ruled on that, or is it just a couple of?
Oh, they're the
individuals?
Had a negotiating unit that reached out to
Yeah.
everybody, and that's the
Yeah.
way that they would rather have it preferred, and that's the way I thought we
Did they
negotiated.
vote on it? Did they?
Are they
Just
gonna
saying,
get back
it
to
needs
you
to
and
be
say,
voted on.
here's what we voted on, or here's what our members want? Are they gonna get back to you guys?
I think that's really where it has to land, you know, Adam and Jared have to come back, cause I told the three foremen last week. I said, talk to your guys, cause I said, it's gonna be one of two ways, and you guys tell me which way you want it.
Okay.
And I'm the one that decided to do it the way we're doing it. And so, you know, I'll take the blame for that. But I've been around long enough to know that easy is easy. And that there will be issues.
Exactly.
That's why I say I want
So,
a majority.
But
not
if that's what they
one
want,
or
then
two
that's what
people.
we'll do. So,
Okay,
so, we're gonna meet with Amy here at 1 o'clock, the 3 4 will be there, and so we'll talk to them again about it. And I'll say, you know, we really need to know here in the next couple of days,
Yeah.
or, you know, very soon.
Okay.
So,
I'm in favor of whatever they want. I'm like you, whatever they
Yeah.
want, it's fine with me.
Yeah, and I probably in hindsight should have said, hey, you know, which option do you guys want before we just, you know, unilaterally, I just decided.
Right. Yep.
What I thought was best.
Right.
I was
Easy,
obviously-
it made sense.
I was obviously wrong.
Well, it's the way it is.
So,
Keep it simple, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fixable, however.
It's
you
hard
want.
estimating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see what they say
yeah.
and we can go from there.
Yeah, again, you know, I think the onus, it's on them now to decide which way do you want to go, and it is like Terry said, it's all gonna be one way or the other.
Right,
There's not gonna be a mixture.
And I agree to that, and I agree with the full receipts. You have to have, this is what I have to turn in.
Yeah, I mean, does that sound all right to you, Amy? I mean, or we just, you know, I mean, it actually is gonna be a burden on, and not really a burden, I mean, it is what it is, but we'll have to be responsible for that, saying, okay, here's the receipts, now we need to issue the check.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
so,
and then the claim goes to Michelle Alves.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Your
that's
reimbursement
how it's always
plan.
been with the reimbursement, I mean, with the other way,
Yeah,
it's just $250,
it's the
they
regular reimbursement.
really don't have to have a receipt, because we're giving them $250, and they can spend it on whatever, so.
Yeah, that's why I said they have to have eligible, receipts for eligible safety apparel under the IRS rules.
but I, you know, just
Every year.
giving them the 250 to do whatever they want, it's not exactly, you know, that, yeah.
That was
Well,
not the
it,
spirit of the
it, it,
negotiation.
it is in a way, because they still can buy their stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
they have this resource to buy their boots, to buy jeans, to glove, or, you know, we give them a pair of gloves, but they can buy those things that they feel are necessary.
Right,
You know, and again, I was just trying to make it simple, but they would still have the resources there. So I looked at it like, yeah, they do it, and, told them, I said, buy whatever you need, under this scenario, you don't have to turn receipts, in. You don't have that.
Right.
but you also don't have to buy clothes with it either.
Pardon?
But they always have to make sure they're in the proper safety equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of how they
And that'd be
spend that
something, I
money.
don't know if you can get a
they have
copy
to
of the
have
IRS
boots,
and
they have to.
Appropriate apparel, I don't know.
That is your policy, I mean, because
Yeah.
every company
Yeah.
is different, you know.
Right,
I'll check with some other counties and find out what the
Yeah.
deeming is.
try to keep it simple,
Yeah, yeah, so.
sure, want everybody to be happy.
Your welders, man, everything right down to the.
I wanna wear shorts.
And I don't know, maybe the next person it'd be, but I will not
No.
allow shorts.
No, I know, I'm just playing.
So,
Well, that's why I told you here now, everybody does have to be on board, you know, just, you
Mhm.
have to make sure that whichever way you go,
They're
that
all.
we don't have half of them upset that, well, why'd you change it again? Make sure that you have your ducks in a row.
I
Right.
can take my money.
They need to take a vote.
Exactly.
Yeah, because their check will be $250 short
Right,
whenever we
Right.
do decide to take it back, so that's also.
Assuming they've spent the money.
Shorts on motors.
assuming they've already spent the money and gone and got their safety equipment.
Right,
Well, and they,
Well, but it'd be different, because you'll have to back it out of payroll, and then it becomes a reimbursement.
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
they
regardless,
present the
it's gonna-
receipt. If
it's
they
gonna-
bought it,
And
they
they
have
get
a
it back.
receipt.
And then they get it, and then they get.
Yeah, so
Yep.
we'll try to please most of the people most of the time.
Good luck with that.
Well, you're gonna meet with them.
I'm gonna meet with them this afternoon, hopefully we'll get some clarification this afternoon, 'cause I talked to them I think it was, what day? Oh, kind of think down, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday morning, I said, hey,
Yeah, when they could see their check.
sounds like we've got an issue. You
Whatever
guys-
the
You guys
majority.
figure it out, let me know what you want. So I'm sure they've.
It's gotta be a majority.
Yeah,
Let's get their thoughts on it.
Yeah, yeah, and,
it's their deal.
you know, if you wanna blame anybody, blame me.
I'm not blaming anybody.
Yep, okay.
They're all
Thanks,
good.
guys.
Thanks,
All
Paul.
right, thank you so much. All righty.
Well, yeah, and I will try to call in next, I'll see how things play out, but if I got it, if I'm just sitting there to wait,
All right.
I'll try to.
All right, I understand.
Thank you.
All right, Jackson Drees, the clear, he's on,
Nathaniel.
Actually, it's Nathaniel up there.
okay,
He's the speaker.
all right.
Hello,
you're on.
everyone. Can y'all hear me in the room?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Let me share my open my video. Gonna share my screen. Let me see. There we go. Can y'all see my face?
I-
Wonderful. How's everyone doing this morning?
Great, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I appreciate everyone's time here this morning, and I appreciate the opportunity to even come in and present before y'all this morning. Just to add some context, yes, it does say Jackson Dries. That is my colleague of mine. He helped kind of coordinate this call, and I'm actually going to provide the presentation here this morning. My plan for today is I'm not looking at taking up too much of y'all's time here this morning. I know y'all are really busy, but what I actually wanted to do is just to add some context to our conversation. I ran into Supervisor Rosberg at the National Association of Counties Conference last year here in Austin, Texas. It's actually my home. You were sporting that nice cowboy hat, looked like a true Texan. You deceived me here. No, you're looking good. But at the conference, what we're doing, my company ClearGov, is we're actually endorsed by the National Association of Counties as being a go-to resource for county governments all across the US in assisting in streamlining and really simplifying the budget creation process, as well as the publication side of things, like how you present your financials to the public, and then even down to strategic planning, being able to evaluate the dollars, track the dollars accordingly, and really just making it a lot more simplified to be able to create plans and communicate those plans and everything that you're doing as a county. So for today, all I wanted to do is just take a couple of minutes to provide a brief overview of what it is that ClearGov does, how we're working with county governments all across the US, and then show you a little bit more of our planning tool and kind of what we're doing with county governments. And then at the end, just want to leave some room to answer any questions that you might have. But really the goal for today is just wanted to introduce what it is that ClearGov does, what we're doing with county governments, and why we're actually endorsed by the National Association of Counties. But does that sound fair for everyone in the room today?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. If I can, actually, let me see. Yep, it's working. Okay.
Good.
All right. Awesome. Everyone still with me here?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, as I just kind of mentioned, what ClearGov, what we're all about is we're all about helping just increase the effectiveness and efficiency of creating the budget, building and planning for that budget and presenting that budget overall. A little bit of background about myself. I actually come from county government, but here in Texas, it's where my home is. Ran into ClearGov, really believed in the mission and what they're doing for county governments across the US. I liked it so much, I joined the team. So now I have the opportunity to work with counties all across the United States. And really, with that being said, what we're running into with counties all across the US is a lot of folks have a very similar process as it relates to pulling in their budget detail, having to track the dollars, and then at the end of the day, having to pull the information, really communicate that, drive the narrative of everything that you're doing and working so hard to do as a county, and really get ahead of a lot of whether it be like public comment or whether you're just trying to, plan for the future, forecasted years of, hey, this is where we're going in our 10, 20 years as a county government. And throughout this time of just working with several counties, we find a lot of counties run into the issues of, hey, while the tools that we're using today, while we're getting the job done and it's working, in 2024, they're asking, there has to be a way to be able to save some time in pulling all this together, effectively communicate what we're doing, and really just remove any kind of more tedious based processes. And that's where ClearGov comes in, and folks turn to us often and say, okay, modernization and what we're doing is an absolute must for us. And that's really what we are as a company. Our mission here is to create easy to use software. So we are a software company to help governments budget and plan better overall. So much so that we're actually the #1 provider of local government budget software across the entire United States. As I mentioned, we are endorsed by the National Association of Counties, and we've actually worked with them to develop a planning award for county governments, just for those that are really thought leaders out there across the US that are really planning and sharing everything that they're doing really effectively across the US. As we kind of dug in and did the research here, one of the things that we really want to help counties on is sharing your vision and sharing your plan for everything that you're doing. What we found is that it's very critical in our day and age to be proactive as a county, to show that you have a vision of where you're going and how you want to build out your budget. Why are you building it out in that way? What are you doing as a county overall? And then also having the ability to easily communicate what these priorities are, what you're doing without having to allocate any additional county resources of like different employees, anything like that, manpower to do that effectively. On a more personal note of mine, I actually went on to my county's website from where I live and try to look to see what we were really doing as a county here at home. And it was pretty tough to find what we were really working on here as a county where I'm at in Texas. And not saying that they don't have a vision or have a plan or aren't really sharing that, but sometimes it can get a little challenging to do so effectively and also to do so in a way that doesn't cost more time to go into it. And so that really began to make me think and kind of question, okay, what are we doing overall just as a community and as a county? And that's where ClearGov comes in as well. We're a full budget cycle management suite provider company. We help and assist county governments in building out the budget in the sense of where today maybe you have like budget packets that you get, maybe you review it in different spreadsheets, kind of evaluate each department. We want to help give you a nice internal dashboards with automated charts, interactive graphs, to where you can see the trends and track what's happening all throughout the budget, where the dollars going specifically, have immediate access to that. And then as you kind of build out the budget and really plan, we want to assist in presenting that, making it understandable for your everyday resident, easy to understand, and also empower the team to be able to easily drive the narrative of everything that you're accomplishing. And then ultimately, we have a planning application, which is really what we're going to touch on today. And this is what we've really worked with NACO on, the National Association of Counties, to enable counties to be able to create any type of county-based plan for the future of where you're wanting to go. And not only create a plan, but also empower you to manage it and track it. A lot of counties that we work with, they were getting stuck in the phase of where they would create a county plan, they would have one like as a part of the team. However, it would just sit on the shelf from that point, which at the end of the day, it wasn't as helpful as they were hoping for it to be. So we want to empower the county to be able to track the progress of that plan, hold different departments accountable, be able to see what's getting completed, what's not getting completed, and then ultimately at the end of the day, make it easy to really share what you're doing. So just to give you a brief overview of what ClearGov looks like, what an example of a real life, real world environment looks like as well, is just to kind of show you this. This is the back end side to ClearGov. And what's nice is about ClearGov is you as supervisors in the room, you're actually able to have access to all the different aspects of the county. So you can come in and you can say, okay, I want to see the different plans that we're working on as a county. Maybe you have like a water and sewer plan. Maybe you have a economic development function or like a 10-year progression plan that you're hoping to complete. Maybe you want to have just a standard strategic plan for the county as a whole and be able to tie in key focus areas, goals, action items, and be able to track that progress. That's what we're all about here in the sense of where you can have one place where you can come in here, you can see the overall progress of what you're completing based on which plan it is you're trying to evaluate. You can also track the progress over time and say, okay, this is where I'm at, this is what's happening. And then as you come down below, you can see, okay, this is what's not happening. This is what's getting missed. Let's say you have key focus areas that you're working on as a county and you want to quickly identify those. You can say, okay, for public health and safety, this is everything we're doing. This is what's been completed. This is what's on track. This is what's being disrupted here. And then you have the means to come in and start evaluating the different sections of your plan. Why is this why is this section, why has it been completed? Why has this section not been completed? What are any attachments or key documents that are relevant to each goal or action item that you're working towards? And then ultimately, while you're empowered and have the means to come in and track the different aspects of what the county's doing, you can come in here and start breaking it down as well. You can say, okay, here's all the key focus areas that we're working on as a county. We can see what we've completed overall. We're 70% completed with this key focus area. This is how many goals that we're working on, and then start breaking that down even more to have a better visualization of what you're really completing and accomplishing as a county. But with this in mind as well, right, there's different ways you can view this information. If you want to see overall throughout the county, what's on track, what's being completed, what's being disrupted. We have a lot of counties that will actually just pull up these sections like on the big screen during their meetings, and they'll go through different aspects, different things that they're working on, and kind of see where the holdups are as relates to key initiatives and key focus areas that they're working towards. But this is more of the internal side to the tool. This is what anyone throughout the county would be able to come in and evaluate based on the permissions that you assign, just a way to get a full visualization. And what's nice is you're able to hold team members accountable, because you can see, okay, maybe you have specific department heads that are assigned to key goals or key action items. You can see which departments are kind of falling behind, which ones are keeping up with the plan, and as relates to your total overall vision for the county. But just to kind of show you what this looks like publicly, what's nice about this is we want to empower you not just to build and track the plan, right, but to be able to tell your story in a way that makes sense for your everyday resident. So just by y'all doing your day-to-day work like you typically would, the tool itself is going to actually automate an online-based presentation for your plan, to where you can come in here, you can showcase your mission, your values, everything that you're working on. But then it's going to pull in all the information that we just saw. So this is a community that we're working with. They have their key focus areas that they're utilizing here. And then they're able to track their overall progress, different goals, even see the amount of budget that's being allocated towards each specific focus area. And then as they break this information down, they have an overall vision of the progress that they're making. So as we can see here, it looks like they haven't started on this as of yet. However, they're able to identify that, and they're able to identify how many dollars are going towards this focus area, any key KPIs that they're working towards, and what does that look like for this specific focus area or goal or action item. And then they can see the overall status. But having the means to quickly be able to come in here, view the different sections of their plans, view the different KPIs, view what the community is doing overall, from what they've told us has been game changer for them. And then having the ability to quickly communicate it in a way that makes sense, not only in a website format, but it's also going to automate and produce a PDF document for y'all, to where you can always stay up to date, track what's happening, see the breakdown of your overall plan, and then ultimately effectively communicate that to the public overall. But yeah, this is really what I had to share for today, just what we're doing, how we're working with county governments. And this tool itself is actually, we created this with input from the National Association of Counties. So as I mentioned before, there actually is an award kind of baked around this for county governments across the US as you work to really build out your county initiatives and really share the story of what the county is doing overall. But at this point, I just want to pause. Is there any questions or thoughts or feedback here in the room this morning?
Ben Nathaniel?
Yes.
Do you guys work with any counties currently in Iowa?
Yeah, we are new to Iowa in the county sense. We work with several cities. And then for Iowa, we are actually just now getting the word out as far as kind of how this works. There's several counties that we're actually getting close with to where we're going to start implementing this for them. However, nothing is official. I want to be clear about that. One of the key foundations of what we're doing right now as well is the National Association of Counties. We're actually currently working with ISAC as well to develop an actual formal partnership with them, since we're at the national level, and now we're getting it more at the state level as well.
So, and also, since you said that you guys are a software company. I guess, how does your software or work with what we currently are doing? Doesn't it, in my mind, I guess I just envision us having to spend a whole lot of time trying to get our information or our details into your software. How does that work?
Yeah, great question. And I guess to clarify, are you working or are you discussing more of like the actual components of your plan or more of like the financial information and what does that look like?
The financial information.
Okay. Yeah, so the way that we work is, and it's because we're like both budget and planning. So when we come in and we work with the community, we work as a complement to your existing system. And what I mean by that is, right, to your point, we're not trying to replace your existing like financial system, but what we do is my team here at ClearGov, will actually, we can take as much historical detail, as much financial data and do all kind of the mapping and mirroring for you within our tool. That way it's not a lift for you and the team here. And that's more of kind of like our white glove service of what we offer. But to your point with anything at the end of the day, like there would be like, let's say you want to add narrative or anything, you can absolutely add your own narrative, but any of the financials, how they're broken out, anything like that, that's work that my team does. Yeah.
Nathaniel,
Does that-
are you typically, or just, sorry, is that good?
Yep.
Okay.
Nathaniel, do you typically work with each department head, or is there specifics like the auditor or the treasurer that you work with more so? How does that play out?
Yeah, great question. So typically who we work with primarily is more of the auditor, and that's because we do like the budgeting side of things, right? But that does change when like, because any tools that we offer or everything that ClearGov offers is all a la carte. So depending on what the county needs, so if the county is wanting to just do strategic planning, we'll typically work with with a board here, very similar to what we're doing today. And then you can come in here and create your own plan and any users throughout the county, but you would have I would typically say you'd have one centralized person who you would at least want to have control over different permissions or kind of say, okay, like this is how much access we want to give to all employees, or are we going to keep this at a board level? You can decide that, but yeah, typically it would be like auditors, just because we work more in the finance side as well. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
You guys get that whole strategic planning thing? I mean, like where we can show the progress of projects that we're doing. I mean, we sit here and plan a lot of things, like secondary roads has a 5-year plan, and I don't think that hurts to do some of the stuff. I mean, you know, like where we did the project of you guys putting, you in the recorder's office, putting all the stuff in there. I get comments every now and then out in the county that, well, what are all you guys up to? You know, what are you doing? What's going on? You know, I mean, they know the normal things we do, but I mean, none of the projects that we're developing, like where when secondary roads has their road plans. I mean, there's no reason we weren't putting some of that out, and you can actually even put it up there, you know, subject to change due to project availability or being able to get materials necessary to do a new bridge setup or whatever the case. But, you know, I mean, to me, that demonstrates some of the stuff we got going on, and every department's got things going on, you know, public health might be like the project we're doing over there right now. You know, I mean, granted, some things get into the delays, but having that stuff on there, that's what drew my attention. You know, obviously, we may not have Chuck forever to help do out our budget planning sheets, but, you know, he seems like he's gonna be here forever, but someday he might actually really retire. But, you know, so those different things kind of help automate it and make it a lot smoother transition where it might actually help cut down future staffing issues if we would grow into a bigger
I mean,
county.
I just kind of like how it, from a transparency standpoint to the public,
There you go.
is that our budget, there's no doubt, is confusing if you look at it when we approve it and what gets published.
Yeah,
Where, like when they have up there, the percent going for infrastructure, the percent going for operations, the percent going for certain things, that easy for the public to look on our website and see where does the county spend most of its money?
there you go.
You know, and that kind of simplifies it.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, how often are you in correspondence, let's say with like the auditors you work with? Is this a monthly thing? Is this more upfront and then once it all get implemented, then we don't see you quarterly? How does that work?
So the way it works is if y'all were to decide to use something like ClearGov, we would actually I would introduce you to your own like implementation manager. That's when my team will start doing the work, as I mentioned before, like we'll do like your financial mapping, everything like that. But in your life with ClearGov, you actually have one client success manager who works with you however much you want to work with us. So if you want to work with us on the day-to-day, that's up to you. If you want to work with us once a month, that's up to you as well. We'll assist you along the way. And what we do here at ClearGov is, because this includes myself personally, a lot of us that work here come directly from local government, both city and county government. That's who we work with here at ClearGov. So what we do here is we actually have one person assigned to your account. That way you're never calling into like a call center or anything like that, right? You have their phone number, their email, and then you can work with us as often as you want. And we offer unlimited training and support, not only for like the auditor's office or maybe even the board here, but for any department. So like, let's say you do want to create department-based plans, and each department would like to kind of learn how this will work and how they can share this. We can set up department-based trainings, anything like that. And you guys won't be charged for users or anything like that as well. We want it to be more collaborative.
Nathaniel, do you help with, or do you keep a close eye on state legislation? Like last year, we had this House File 718 that happened that changed our caps on our levies. I mean, do you work with that end of it so that you help project counties' revenue stream and overall budget where we're going?
Yeah, you're actually spot on. So with the House File 718, that's really where my conversations with counties really started to pick up. Because as I mentioned, we worked with cities for a while, and that's where awareness started really coming out, because counties were looking to have the ability to effectively project and forecast and see kind of what that was going to look like year after year. And because our tool isn't just like a planning tool, but we assist on the budget aspect, that's what folks are really looking to kind of dig into and be able to better project for that and see the economic impacts year over year, and then ultimately communicate that of saying, hey, we're trying our best here at the county. This is why we're having to make the decisions that we are. So absolutely.
Like that.
Nathaniel, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, I guess. Two questions. You guys say you're the number one provider of this service in the country. So that's implying there's more than just you out there and providing the service. And then ultimately, cost to us, what's the cost benefit if we was to hire you to be able to take it back to our taxpayers and say for X amount of dollars, we're saving the taxpayers, or is it just that you print off a bunch of nice graphs and stuff that we can hand out?
Yeah, absolutely. Fair question. Yeah, like anything, there are other folks that kind of do similar aspects of what we do. For us at ClearGov, what we found in our space is a lot of folks try to kind of be the end all be all. Can't really speak to what they do per se, and I definitely don't want to put any words in anyone else's mouth, but from a ClearGov perspective, what we really do well and what we focus on is assisting everyday local communities. So I'm talking about like the small to mid-sized local governments, not the large cities, the large counties of the country, but everyday local communities that have boots on the ground. And to your point, we work in 49 states across the 50. And in fact, the one that we're about to get into, we're actually getting really close, is South Dakota, funny enough. But we've slowly kind of grown out. And then what's unique about ClearGov as well is we've gone through really, really tough vetting processes, like with the National Association of Counties, with that endorsement by them. They do not take that lightly whatsoever, and we definitely do not as well. So they actually evaluated us along with our competitors in the market to really find a solution to put their name behind. And through, it took a couple years of evaluations. At the end of the day, you know, that's something that we hang our hat on with pride to be endorsed by them and be an official partner of NACO. And then even with that, as relates to price as well, the way we work is we base our pricing, what we do, on your overall budget size across your funds, right? Because every community is different, every community is unique. So we want to cater to fit your needs depending on what you're wanting to do. Yeah, at the end of the day, so that's how we work on pricing and kind of investment overall. Was there another aspect of your question I didn't want to miss?
Well, we're not hard to figure out how big we are and what our budget is. It's already posted. What on a county our size, what would your typical cost be? I think that was where
Yeah, I mean, yeah, before we enter into anything, we're gonna have to kind of know what our benefit of, we gotta spend 100,000, what are we getting back out of it, you know?
Yeah. So based on what I was seeing from your budget before hopping on here, depending on what solution you'd want to use, if you just want to use the planning tool that we saw today, it would be an annual subscription fee of $8,600.
That's the basic, so I mean, we can do the math from, it just goes up from there, so.
And you get like bundles, like depending on how you want to do, you can always do like bundles, different things like that, right? For that pricing, but yeah, for the planning one, you'd be at an annual subscription of $8,600.
How is your pricing like how old is ClearGov?
Yeah, ClearGov dates back, it's about 11, 12 years old now.
So over the last like 5 years, then has your fees gone up on a historical basis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with inflation, everything that happens, our fees do go up. When you work with ClearGov, so they adjust annually, right, in accordance with what's happening like economically. But when you work with ClearGov, you actually lock in your rate for like your duration that you work with us. The only thing that you will see kind of changing is there's from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3, there's a 3% adjustment. But nothing ever like beyond that. You're not even going to get our current rates when our rates do adjust. Because you're going to kind of have that, you're going to have that better value from the time that you lock it in. So some folks choose to work with us for like 3 years or 5 years. The way we do all of our services is we're actually evaluated annually. So if you just want to lock in that best rate for like, let's say you do like a 5-year, right? You can always lock it in, but we're subject to annual evaluation, right? If you want to continue to do this or not, but it's just however would fit best for your county.
I got one more question. So.
Yeah.
Over a period of 3 to 5 years, I mean, we got the system down. Do other, now you've been doing it for 12 years, do other governments just end the service and are we able to keep the software and all the data and just eliminate kind of your implementation, your manager? I mean, do we, or how does ours, or is your software leave if we fail to sign a new contract? I mean, were we able to keep it with no updates, or I'm just trying to think, is this a long-term deal, or are we just looking for 25, 30 years?
Yeah, no,
Yes, I mean, is it like a prescription pill where you're just gonna take it the rest of your life, and you're gonna like it?
we're not going to force you to like us. I coming from county government too, like I would not like that or appreciate that myself. But to your point, let's say you use us a couple years, you go through, right? You have a nice online website where you're seeing all the dollars, you see all of your progress at 100%. This is what we did as a county. This will always be yours. This website will always be yours to keep. because the way that this works is just like you have the agenda posted on your website today, where I click the link and it takes me to your agenda for the meeting here. That's exactly how this works. I'll click a link on your website, and instead of taking me to like a static PDF, I'm gonna be able to come to this website to see everything that you've done as a county. Maybe it's for a specific year, just like this one, it's for 2024, right? I can see, hey, this is what the county completed in 2024, and then always have a PDF document for that as well. But to your point, let's say you leave, right? All this will still exist. Just what you're not going to do is you're not going to update it or anything like that.
So we won't be able to create new budget years from that point forward?
Don't sound like it, yeah.
Right. From when you cancel it, yeah, what you have is what you've created.
If you like it, it works.
How many cities and counties across the nation do you currently serve?
Yeah, 1,200 communities across the entire United States. Actually, not too long ago, did a webinar with the city of Bondurant, and I think you asked a question earlier too about kind of manpower. And when they actually started using ClearGov, they're using our full suite that we have. They were evaluating hiring a whole new position, but our software came cheaper than hiring a whole new position. And what happened was they were actually able to use us and still save time. It increased their efficiency. And I know Janae Jess over there at Bondurant, she was able to speak on that and kind of how it directly impacted her office as well. But yeah, 1,200 across the US. And that's 49 states across the entire US.
And have the majority of the 1,200 been with you over 3 or 5 years? Are you continuing picking up new communities? Or I mean, I'm just wondering the rollover rate.
Yeah, we're actually at so when we did our recent evaluation, we were at a 94% retention overall. And the reasonings for like cancellations or anything like that we've seen is like personnel turnover, like someone buys ClearGov, likes it, then they retire, someone new comes in and maybe they don't want to learn a software or anything like that. So they come in and they're used to having their own process. So different reasons like that are what we've evaluated in like our post kind of interviews of what's going on. But yeah, retention's been high. We've actually, this isn't quite public yet, but this is our fourth year on the Inc. 5000 for being a company that continues to grow and double like year over year. So that's something that we hang our hat on with pride on, as well as we continue to grow. And last year alone, we actually more than doubled our client support team because that's really important for us here at ClearGov. So much so that we've actually been winning awards here over the past few years on just our client success and support as far as what we're doing overall. So based on our comparisons with like competing other companies within our field, we've been winning awards year over year as well. So
It's public now.
yeah.
Monitor, I'd like to hear your input, since you would have to actually probably do a fair amount. Decipher. Got any
I'd have
questions?
to think about it. I don't know.
No, I mean.
I don't
did you
have any questions. I've talked to Nathaniel before.
Oh, have you?
Oh.
Yes, I have.
Very good.
All right.
Any more questions? We'll be on. Thank you very much. That was very, very well done presentation, very interesting. I think we're intrigued about it. But we have to discuss it as a board and kind of look into it a little bit more, but a lot of good information for us this morning. Thank you.
Absolutely. I
Very much.
appreciate the opportunity and I appreciate all the questions, and all of y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Thank you.
You
Okay,
too.
thank you.
Very, very much. All right. Yeah, sure, nice and easy, so. All right, is Seth coming up for the approval of homestead exemptions and all that
You should be.
military? Do you want to take a quick break here? Because these last items, I think are gonna take some time. I'll go down and see if Seth is ready.
It's
up to you.
Yeah, let's take a quick break. Just a quick one. We very rarely.
Oh, hey, Frank. Okay.
You need one, you take one.
We'll man the fort.
You run the show.
I don't know, I just thought that was interesting when I talked.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Sometimes I just always in the back, you get, that's all fancy and, oh, cool, look at these graphs and like.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done a housing study.
Yeah.
Cost us
Another one.
$3,000.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it really.
They're doing another one right now.
Really?
So
I'm just always a little skeptical.
I just thought about stuff. My only thing is with something like this, it's just like with you have QuickBooks. QuickBooks was this great thing and it was real easy to use and now you use it for 3 years and if you don't get the update, it's junk.
Right.
And I mean, so you're basically
I guess I
forward.
was trying to spit that, it wasn't coming out the way I wanted.
Yeah, that's what you were trying to
And,
find out.
well, we buy this and we work it for 5 years and we got all the kinks worked out.
And is it our software to keep and we can just keep going or now we're done?
Sound like we're done.
Sounds like we're done. Which I don't mind having some maintenance, seems like everything you got with computer stuff now, there's a little maintenance
Mhm.
thing, but you don't have to maintain the same high level, cause I mean, these are still, Terry and her crew are still gonna gather all that information and give it to them.
That's the other question. So does this, I mean, we're staffed here for what we need,
Yeah.
so. Are we gonna be effectively able to make that work with the current staff that we have?
And he claimed that they were gonna hire one more to do that for Bondurant. But now they won't have to because this will take care of it, but. I mean, that's what I wonder is if this, when Chuck retires, he helps keep track of all this stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, will that be? Will this be something that would help augment the auditor staff where they lose Chuck and they don't have to find a part-time person? I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's why I was trying to see what she had. Cause obviously it sounded like it's something more for her to do.
Yeah, it sounds like.
Or more in her department, I should say, not her to do, but her in her department.
Guess ever since COVID, when somebody throws something out, it's a percentage or whatever, I'm like, well, you really gotta understand the percentage. If you're the only player in Coutlan and you're the number one player, well, you're the only one that offers this. You should be the number one. The COVID, 50%, people are affected. Well, there's two of you. One got it, one didn't. They were throwing percentages around a lot during the old COVID-19 days.
Well, I seen you were writing about, that's why I wondered if you had any questions, my monitor.
So have you talked to Nathaniel about the prior, just the
Same,
same thing?
yeah.
He just was contacting county auditors randomly or?
Mhm. It was probably at an ISAC thing, or I don't even know.
Seth is on his way.
I guess ultimately, it'd be means you're gonna be, my question, and Ty and I talked about it, is this something that, everybody's department in here is kind of staffed accordingly, so. I mean, if we gotta hire another staff just to implement this.
Right.
I don't see
Not a big plus to it.
No plus, if that.
You have to hire staff.
well, I don't know.
Oh.
But if you do, just so you can fulfill the needs of your subscription to this, is it really worth it?
Right.
No. No.
No,
Yes, what I got was that's what they did. They looked at our information and they designed their software.
I'm sure they're gonna be
doing, and they're the.
So
ones
after
that
we
enter-
get our budget
They're the
done,
ones that
they,
enter the information into their system. That's the way I took it.
That's a clarification we'll have to get.
so
I
they're
can't
really-
imagine, I imagine that it's us inputting. I mean, the stuff we do in Tyler would end up. It just sounds like a lot of extra
Steps.
steps to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And is it gonna give us enough information to
Will give us an.
quantify it, or, you know what I mean? I don't know.
What it said,
Person in Tyler's active. Maybe they got. it.
Yeah, I don't know.
We've looked at, I think a timekeeping deal when we first started that venture, that's.
We're gonna be done by then.
By other counties?
Mhm.
That's
A
nation.
lot of other counties, other states too.
Okay.
Yep.
Seth, good morning.
Morning.
all right, discussion, take action, approval and disapproval of the 23 disability veterans homestead and military tax credit applications.
Okay, so I have a list here. This is all the 65 and plus homestead editions. We noticed we didn't do 23 last year for this, so I included 23 and 24 in this list, but this is all the 65 plus homestead applications that we have for
Or
city.
23.
And they all qualified.
We would recommend.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't require them to show us an ID to show us they're 65. So we do take their word for it.
Why can't you require that?
What the state says, yeah.
That's crazy.
So how do you, what if somebody
We ask them their date of birth,
You do ask them that.
yes.
Okay. Not at, like at Walmart where they have to
Well-
see your driver's license no matter what.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
That was guidance from the.
Better show up
department.
to have a beer, but by golly, we can give you a lot of a big tax break and you don't have to.
Don't have to show.
Is the number set from 23 to 24 about, is that the same roughly?
We had a lot more in 23 because that was the first year for this.
Okay.
That was a big
Okay.
year.
Yeah, so
Big year.
there's about a total of 1,150.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, for my own purposes, does the Assessors Association, or do they give you guidance? What happens if clearly a young person comes in who's
Clearly.
says,
A young person.
says
Dave
that
Ballflower walks in and says.
my birthday is,
March 27th, 1954.
Only got two
Right.
gray hairs.
Nobody's gonna
this
believe
entire
that.
beard.
what do you, what are you supposed to do?
there
Do you just
were
take it?
some that you could verify using voter registration. That's what some counties had done.
Okay.
Or is this something that like those counties had to pass an ordinance or a resolution to require voter registration to get this?
The state says you don't. I don't think we can probably have one out there that says we can. We've learned from
Yeah, I
that.
don't.
I mean, you gotta show ID to vote, you gotta just.
But if a
If we
teenager-
questioned it, we may put it on, maybe recommend disallow or have it looked
Okay.
into,
That would be nice.
but
But what happens if you do go out to voter registration and you do see that that was a bogus birth date? Can you then we just would approve it?
Right. You would
we
recommend.
probably recommend disallow or
Okay, all right.
do,
Okay.
look into
there's
it a
our
little farther to
safety
see if potentially it's an error on that or just.
I could probably go through that list and see if it's accurate
Oh,
or not, you know, so.
A little over 1,100.
I just find that interesting.
Very interesting. I would think you'd have to. But it only has to be one person in the household that has that, so.
Yes.
Got all sorts of things that opens up and.
Keep going, or do you guys want to go around with
Yeah, go
this?
ahead, right, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I'm not sure what you guys typically done in the past.
So we just kind
If
of.
you recommend approval, then leave it approval.
You've done the
You've
vetting.
been,
we-
you've
You're a
been
better.
Okay, so here's our 24 homestead editions. These are new applications we've received over the year
24 of them?
that no, 2024.
Year
Yeah,
2024.
2024.
You know how many of those there are? That would be-
Probably about 85, 90.
One page front and back. Good number.
Those are addition to the ones that were already on file.
Yes, these are new,
Just the new,
yes, new applications. It's maybe they sold their old home and they got it on their new home, they'd be on the removal and the addition because they were removed from the old.
Seth, could a veteran and a 65-year-old double up and get both of them?
Yes, so the homestead credits, any of us, if we own and occupy our home, we can qualify for that. And then in addition to that, if you're 65 plus, then you can get the 65+ homestead. Like I would not qualify for 65+, I couldn't get that, but anybody in here that would be over 65 could. So.
Okay.
Okay,
I had, military addition, new military.
I have a question that's, let's say that the person who, so like some of these you have two names and some people you just have one. Is that just because that's just a, they're
Right, the
one
deed
on the
hold,
deed?
yes,
Only one person on the deed.
yeah.
So if two people actually live in the house and the person who signed up for it, they're all gonna be who's on the deed, right? It's Jean and Jerry, I think, so just think about one passed away and the other one was very young, does that still stay?
They would lose the
They
65.
would lose it, okay. And how are you keyed in to that?
We review obituaries and,
Oh,
or if the transfer happened and the name got removed. We try to look into that.
just a question that came to me.
Yeah, Bob.
I think there.
Way to go, guys. Well,
Hospital have to do that a lot for
yeah.
bills that are unpaid and watch some obituaries.
What else do you got? Deletes these.
Deletes.
that
Like where they move.
Transferred out a name, yeah. Yeah. Or applied for, not the, correct that somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just making sure I didn't move that I didn't know it.
There's military deletes.
Oh, it passed.
It's military delete.
Disabled homestead, tax credit. Disabled veterans homestead tax credit. Maybe it was an ad to one of each.
Did the-
So disabled tax credit is different than veterans tax credit?
So there's a military tax credit, then there's the disabled veterans tax credit.
And they get both of them?
No,
It's one or the other.
yeah,
Is there one more valuable than the other?
the disabled homestead. The disabled veterans homestead tax credit is 100%. I mean, there's a couple, if you have too much land, where you may have to pay the land, but
Really?
otherwise it's 100%.
100%?
100%? No property?
Correct.
Interesting.
So we should be signing these, or we should probably.
Take action first.
Serve them back.
we have some background.
All right.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 and 2024
Okay.
disabled veterans homestead and military tax credit applications as presented and approved by Seth.
Okay. Second,
Second.
any further discussion?
Second.
Do have a couple more to pass through.
Okay, wait.
The 2024 recommended disallows. They all have the reason for disallow. A lot of them didn't comply with Iowa code.
What do you mean by disallows?
That we're recommending disallowing the credit for these.
They meet the criteria.
Yes, and some of them have had the credit for a while, but upon research, LLCs, we found don't qualify, only family farm corporations.
So are they notified then, or how?
Yes, I believe a letter is either sent out, which you guys had done in the past. I don't know if the auditor's office has sent them, but last year I know letters got sent out. And it was,
Did you send them out?
I have no idea.
I know
Good
for sure I
question.
didn't
I
send
guess
one
I'll
out.
need a copy of
Yeah,
that,
we
so
can-
don't let it just,
Yeah. I did
Seems
not
like it would
have,
come from the assessor's office, but
that would make sense, wouldn't it?
that makes
yeah,
sense.
it's not what the code. I mean, yeah, it's just not what the code says, like.
I got a feeling they've never been done.
So the code goes down to.
Last year it was done though. I do
They
know
were done.
last year we did.
It happens once a year. I can't
I was
remember,
gonna say-
once a year stuff, so
I don't think I have a template for a letter.
I will as soon as it's. Oh, well, I don't, he made lines.
So if you're
but I
not
don't
farming
do it.
yourself, is that, I mean, well, how did, see, cause there's a couple of them over here. I mean, how does that, doesn't that comply with what's,
Wait, they're under an LLC,
okay,
so it's a limited liability corporations
don't meet that?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
If
So
they're
would
a family farm corporation,
then they do. Ah,
When
gotcha.
they,
And we've sent letters to these
These people.
individuals asking them to come in and a lot have, I believe, and
Okay.
so they might already know.
some have shown us proof that they should qualify.
But their property, their deed is in a LLC. And when they applied for it, that wasn't made clear that it was an LLC, is that?
You know, they applied for it under a family farm and then they switched to an LLC for
Could
whatever
be.
reasons.
We
Financial
recently
planning, estate planning, so now they
have
delete
kind of
some.
looked into this and found that LLCs should qualify and are kind of correcting an error that may have been happening for a while.
So like on Collins 4, doesn't comply with Iowa code, it's not found by them. The search doesn't comply. They don't have an LLC behind their name.
But they may not file as a family farm corporation.
What's the difference between an LLC and a family farm corporation?
There's rules in Iowa code about what determines you as a family farm and what determines liability. I don't know it all off the top of my head.
We haven't learned all that already,
Not yet, no. And Maddie's been the main one in charge of doing all this in the past, so she good one for questions as well.
It just seems, so if they're a corporation, Wide Open Enterprises, Inc. The difference there, do you suppose?
Incorporated, I don't think qualifies either.
Either, okay. That makes sense, then I don't understand, yeah, all right.
And then here's some homestead, military just disallows. The reasons are also there.
Do you know the total amount that this comes up to be? Or exemptions?
I don't.
Probably scary now since they doubled it before they handed it off to us.
Yeah, changing it from credit and exemption. I'm just curious.
The homestead is 65,
So that 65 homestead for the 23 tax year, it's gonna be 3,250 of taxable value that's exempted. Which will be the taxes paid
So
this
that-
fall and spring. The 24 years when it doubled to 65, so that'll be next fall and spring where we'll have the double amount.
you say there was 1,100 of those,
About 1,150 roughly.
okay. Give you the math, 3,250 times 1,150, tell you how much.
It'll be 6,000. Next year.
65.
I mean,
6,500.
so that credit in Denison will be different from that credit in Deloitte. The amount, so the 3,250 of taxable value, so then it depends what the levy is for your actual tax dollars, but.
Gotcha.
So Seth, has the Iowa code changed? I see some of those people have been since 2012. They've gotten the tax credit, so they've gotten it for 12 years.
It's an error that we think we'd been allowing it when we were not supposed to.
So was there someone in the assessor's office that was looking at that entity issue previous to you becoming the assessor?
Yeah, this has been something that was started probably over a year ago. That we were looking into, and we sent out letters and tried to give them time to come in, to show us, but and now we've disallowed what we feel is not. Yeah, Maddie she's been working on this for a while.
For a year.
Yeah,
But we didn't have anybody doing this before Maddie.
Well, so,
You've been there 5.5 years, right? You remember anybody doing it?
yes, no, actually, there's been talking off, we have this off the record where assessor's office is talking, topics get brought up. And then other people are doing it wrong and then we'll clarify and make sure. So no, it was just an error found that
Just
had
didn't
been
know.
allowed and,
You don't know until you know.
yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
You learn something every day.
Yep, I suppose.
So.
We're trying to get more accurate as we go.
So on this one, where they refused to sign, that's on the 65+, they didn't sign, so they aren't gonna get it. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, so there was a portion where they didn't want to answer a question and then sign regarding carbon monoxide detector in their home,
Okay,
so.
It looks like you did a real job of going through and
Vetting.
vetting who qualified and who
we
needed to come on.
appreciate that.
Yes, yep, Maddie has went through that.
We appreciate it. So if they came back in and signed, then they could get it potentially. It's just that, did they know since they didn't sign, they weren't gonna get it? Just.
It was explained, yeah,
Okay.
they just didn't feel comfortable signing because I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
Just seemed like an odd, just one out of all of those.
Yeah.
Qualified, cause. they
and anybody can
refused to
sign up at any time.
So, but once we approve these, or say if we do, then they would have to wait till
Next
the
time.
next following year.
So they could turn their application in
But they've
today
got
or
to wait.
tomorrow, and then it wouldn't be applied for the 25 year.
Right, right.
And next year, yes, they would be on these lists.
Okay,
Okay.
what's our next thing to approve?
We have a,
So we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, any more discussion? We've got them all. Everybody's questions are answered. Everybody satisfied? I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. They have been approved, Seth.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you.
bringing that
You
to
guys
us.
bring these back down at the end?
Yep, I'll drop
Okay,
them off on my way
perfect. All
by.
right, thank
We'll
you.
probably have more questions again next year.
Okay, sounds perfect. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Seth.
Thank you. It's only a bad question. Yes.
I'm going to get citizens input, help all. Things come back.
Okay.
Be two of us trying to remember.
All right,
Next,
the generator. What, we've got a estimate out there. Are we, ready to take a look at that?
Sure. I think the only thing is that I emailed Colin this morning because during discussion of it applied to the bidding process. And where'd they go?
Since he's,
He emailed me back,
okay,
pretty. It's never just a yes or no with him.
okay.
lawyers.
I'm trying to read it all quick, but,
Yeah.
you
Take your
know,
time, we'll just sign these. Take
it
your
says
time.
when the county public bids are not, if it's an improvement, it exceeds $100,000 required the bid process,
Okay,
which it don't. It was split up, it's both under that. Public improvement. Field. Well, then. Yeah, so I'm trying to decipher this yet, but
okay.
he's not listening, otherwise he'd just come over.
This one, we need them to.
So, okay, so just focusing on generators alone, one good reason that since each generator would be under 100,000, then we do not need a public bid. And since they're also each under 67,000, then we don't need a public quote. But this isn't the case. One reason is federal ARP, so we're not dealing with ARP, so that would throw that out. Cause that was 50,000 or more. We're doing that, we're not doing that. And then the other reason is Iowa Code 26.5, which prohibits us from splitting up a project into smaller pieces to avoid it. Bottom line, it seems the county will have to follow the public bid procedures for the generator because we are not allowed to break up the total project, i.e. city center into smaller pieces. So this is the case, Siemens has already submitted a quote, so for public bid, they would presumably resubmit the same estimate. If they are the only bidder, then the county can go with them. That's how long we can take.
But we
And this
only
is
need,
why nothing goes fast in the county.
but we only need one
Government
generator,
area.
so we're not trying to split that up.
Right.
The whole
So-
project.
With the whole
You have
project.
to consider the cost of the whole
But-
project,
But he bid.
just like everything else has been individual
Yeah, we-
RFPs.
We have every single bit of it.
So,
So let's just go through that process. Put an RFP out for generators, right?
yeah, that's.
Gotta
what we
put it in
have
the
to do.
paper. Is that how we do that, paper, or can you? Yeah.
Just for that one size?
We put it on
60?
the,
I think so.
Website.
the smaller one.
60.
60 to small one.
Yeah.
Smaller one.
Yep. And now, which brings me back, cause, over a year ago, there was a young man from Baldwin Electric, and he submitted a bid, or
Yeah, somebody else.
did he submit a bid, or was it just a hypothetical number? I think it might, maybe it was just an estimated.
That was an estimate.
It wasn't
Because that was the 90 kilowatt one,
That was a
wasn't it?
big haul.
Yeah, that was gonna power half a.
That was a
Right,
conversation.
okay.
Yeah, I think that one was just a
It was a
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah.
All right.
Jake had brought him in.
So I guess we'll have to do a competitive bid process.
All right. We're pretty good
I
at
think
that.
that was just part of something that Jake brought in.
Yep, you're
We
right.
have those right up.
RFP, do they do generators?
No, just ask.
I don't know, Carol Control or whatever it is. Carol Solutions do that. Or do they not? I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Who wrote up the RFP for some of the other, didn't get over there. You did?
Yeah.
I did.
So you should have a template where you can copy and paste.
I should be able to.
Insert generator 60 KW.
I will, can I take this to use as my template?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, go ahead. And I'll let him know that we got no action taken. 'cause we
Let's
gotta
just
do
do
a
it.
competitive bid
All right.
What did
process.
you submitted it?
And ask him if that's-
Yep, I bring it up and they put it on their
It's
website.
called, and except read that.
Website, paper, and what else?
Oh, I can reprint it off.
Bring it up.
What papers do we put stuff in now? I mean,
Yeah, it's
3 papers.
Perfect.
I guess
No,
this,
I just know how long that would be good for.
it did say on there, the bid skip for. But I'll tell them to submit one specifically 60 KW.
I wonder how much our RFP, how much that's cost us. Our
Think about
RFPs that we got put in the paper.
That's like it.
20. Alrighty. The next discussion and take action is sick leave accrual. So there's been some discussion about how that was working, where people felt they were losing a day and gaining a day on the other side, but needed more explanation, that's my understanding.
Oh,
Does they need one?
you don't come down, Amy, but I can start. I had guys grab me as well. It was Adam and Jared Henry, and they had brought it to his attention that they said, hey, I get that. Guys brought it, added 5 days up front for new hires. Addressed the vacation schedule to help with retaining employees. But unintended consequence, I mean, it wasn't intended, but it wasn't something I thought of, but for like Jared's instance, he said, hey, my anniversary date is June. I'll lose sick leave by going from a day and a half to a day without ever seeing an increase in my vacation schedule bump up. So for the year, I actually lose sick leave from what I've been accustomed to and hired it. I think there's different employees in that same scenario that will see that anniversary bump up date happen, but yet we'll lose sick leave accrual up front. I don't know, maybe you wanna, I know we talked about it, but
We talked about it.
What anniversary bump up? I don't know what that is. Is that related to his vacation?
no. Or yes, to education, but I mean, if the offset is that we reduce sick leave, but yet gave 5 days up front for new hires and then had changed the anniversary schedule of vacation time, that giving up sick time to give vacation time, but yet now you're losing sick time, but not necessarily gaining that.
Not losing sick time, you're just not earning it at the rate you were.
Well, it's reduction.
You're not
from what they
losing sick
were
time.
having, what they did have,
You're not losing sick
it's still a
time.
reduction to what they had.
They didn't lose anything.
You didn't.
They
You're just
just,
not earning it at the same rate. But it's
Those
still a
days-
very generous rate. I mean, even a day a month. Right? I mean, isn't that some of the
What they were hired
information?
at, what they were earning is still a reduction from what they previously earned.
I mean, yes and yes.
Yes.
But I mean, it is a reduction and it is very
Right.
generous, so.
Yes.
And I mean, I think all the department heads, when they were talking, they agreed that it was very generous. But they would like to focus more on vacation and do a better schedule on the vacation and thinking, well, if we go to the board and ask them to increase the vacation schedule so that employees aren't waiting as long to get their vacation, then, you know, let's say we'll back off earning so much sick leave to get that vacation. So it was a give and take kind of thing. And, you know, and it was based on the fact that everyone at the table felt like the sick leave is very generous. So that was the decision. I mean, that was the thinking behind that decision.
more vacation days, less sick.
And,
But
and
that's
so.
Getting those vacation days. You know, there's people in this.
So make sure they lose.
Half it, well, they're not going to be accruing a half a day, there's gonna be accruing
So it's like 6 days a year.
6 days a year.
of sick time.
They'll miss 6 days, all 6 days, or just.
The 6 days less a year that they would.
Less.
Well,
Accumulate.
it's 12 half days, which is 6 days.
So 6 days.
But how many more days of vacation do they give?
They're not accumulating anymore. It's just at a quicker time frame. Like before, the schedule was 1 year, 2 years, 8 years, 15. So now it's 1, 5, 10, 15, 20. It's nice and so.
But
Yes.
to me, that I can see it from, I just don't agree with. People that are caught in the in between won't see that bump up in schedule for a while, but yet lose those 6 days of sick leave.
It's a day a month, so they don't lose it all at once, they just.
Right. Well, it's a half a day a month,
Actually,
actually.
so they don't accrue it.
4 hours a month.
Yeah,
Or
they
else
lost
they don't accrue
nothing.
that they were accruing last year and the year before and the year before.
And I will say, someone that has maxed out their sick leave and don't ever take sick leave, pretty much can bank on 4 days a year being converted into vacation days. Sick days, they take away, every sick leave conversion is you take away 4 days of sick leave and earn a day of vacation. That happens once a quarter, basically. It takes about a quarter to build up that sick leave. So someone in that scenario, they're probably not gonna get 4 days anymore. They'll probably only get about 3 a year. So that, you know, that is one thing that
Which is a reduction of what they've been
it's,
getting.
yes.
Right.
But again, that is someone that is maxed out and never takes sick leave.
Right.
So,
That,
and there's,
And the other new benefit is people that are more than 20 years or more of service can sell a week of vacation
for cash,
for cash.
not cash.
Well, but yeah, they can sell it. That's
Yeah.
a bump
Which
in their
There's a
salary.
benefit to a long-term employee that
right, because there wasn't
Accruing a day and a
much.
half.
Right.
And I'll sell it, and I mean, I didn't take the sick leave, I didn't use it, I mean, it's,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that additional transition of sick leave adds into that, so.
How many days of sick leave can you accrue before it quits accruing?
90 days, which is a lot.
That is a
A
lot.
lot, it's a lot. But it allow our employees to plan different medical needs and different things like that, or if an emergency thing happens, it allows for those.
I mean, a lot of companies do not pay you. Once you get the 90.
Right.
Use it, you just
Right,
lose it.
so yeah,
Right.
so
Stay at
Trent,
90,
yeah,
You
so
don't get paid.
converting those 4
You don't get
extra
paid
days
for-
into a vacation day is
So
a
that's a
big benefit.
And there's a lot of companies that do not have 90 days of sick leave.
No.
Right,
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
they, you know,
Right.
like my husband working at the ethanol plant, they get 6 days a year. And if they don't use them, they lose them and they start over the next
Right.
year with 6 days and use them or lose them. So again, it's a very generous plan. That's why the department heads, you know, came up with that decision. And,
right,
you know, but I'm obviously one that really tries not to use sick leave and get my 4 days of sick leave conversions because vacation's way more important to me. So I'm not gonna say, oh no, please, you know, leave it, you know, don't leave it alone. Like, you know, that's your
I
guys'
just, well, and
decision.
I had Amy put this on because it was brought to my attention. And I think it's worth discussing.
I agree.
We always talk about thinking outside the box because we don't always necessarily are able to give the pay increases that the private industry has. Part of the benefit of working for the county is the benefits. I just feel like I just don't want to see people that fall in that in-between stage that aren't necessarily.
How many people are there?
Has there been any other concerns brought to the HR department?
No, it was just, I think you guys got all the calls. I haven't had one. So
We
I
shared it with
appreciate
you.
that.
We shared it with you.
But
I
yeah,
had
so,
one call. Somebody talked to you as well.
yeah, I mean. I don't know. This is why you make the big bucks and I don't.
That was the funniest thing you said. all
I mean,
day.
one thing, and it's obvious that I think working in the private sector, that changes happen versus what you were originally hired at from a benefit standpoint, because there's, you know, buyouts, there's changes
All the
in
time.
HR, there's a new CEO who directs HR to make changes. So I mean, to be guaranteed, hey, I started, this is how I accrued, and now you're changing it on me.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time. And the fact, I think that we didn't take anything, well, it wasn't like, hey, I've accrued 60 sick days and now you're slashing it down to 40. You're staying at the same rate or wherever you were, if that's where you're at. It's just moving forward as you accrue them. You're only gonna accrue 1 day a month instead of a day and a half a month. And I think if the department heads came up with, this is what we think is a fair trade from a vacation to sick days, then I'm in favor of.
Right, and they're gonna get those 5 weeks of vacation earlier than they would have. I mean, as a long-term employee, there's not much in our handbook for a long-term employee, but that is one thing, that's a big benefit. It's
Yeah.
15 years now, it used to be 20 years to get the 5 weeks of vacation, now it's gonna be 15. And then on top of that, all the additions that were done for hiring, because it's been an issue recently in the last few years, hiring new people and being able to give them some time off, you know, because we have young families working here.
I agree. We agree
You know,
with that.
all those things. So, you know, it's, there were a lot of good things considered, I believe, in those department head meetings. So, yeah.
And I think that we did kind of firm that up to where if they don't work for that year, they don't get to give a 2-week notice and use our 5 generous days as
Yep.
their 2 weeks notice.
I think that was tightened up.
Which I think we needed to do.
That was good.
We needed
Oh,
it,
yeah. Yes.
except for new hires, but.
So,
Yep.
but that's a good point, I think that Terry makes, is that you were gonna get that vacation schedule sooner than
Sooner.
you would have before. So those people that are in that boat now, you can tell them, yeah, but
Right. Instead
You
of
know?
waiting another 5 years
Right.
for
You
get an
your
extra week
25
vacation
days
for-
off, you're gonna
for
get
5
them
more
5 years
years.
earlier.
Right, 5 years earlier, you get an extra week.
4 or 5, that's fine.
I mean, it
That's
might
not bad.
slow the roll on that transition of those extra sick leave days to vacation, but not by much. Really, not by much.
They didn't lose anything though. I think that's the key point to take
I think
out.
they differ with that.
I mean, that's,
You can't lose something you don't already have.
If you're,
I can see where they're feeling they're losing those, but they're also gaining something on the other side. And just my experience while at secondary roads, we at one time could accumulate up to 120 days and it was knocked down to 90 days.
It was,
So it has.
but I believe there was some kind of payout or
I
something.
believe there was
Yeah,
a
there was
payout,
some-
but I don't
It
remember.
wasn't just snatched from them. I mean, it was
This
paid
board,
out.
it seems like it's always been, always weighed in favor of the employee as much as possible.
Absolutely.
I firmly believe that, you know. Cause I did have 120 days of sick leave, I
Yeah, you
up,
did.
just for the fact that, you know, just the occasion, I mean, there was employees that had whatever heart attacks or whatever were off for a long period of time, so
Break a leg.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I didn't get any day, I was the first guinea pig of the back to
Light
work,
duty,
light
right?
duty, so,
Ah,
but anyways.
Awesome.
It's a growing pain, but now that you put it all back into perspective, I kind of. Here you go, the department, Paul was in on those conversations, I'm guessing, so,
Absolutely.
so I guess. He was here before, but had pretty broad shoulders on it, I guess. I think it's beneficial for the long term of the employee. They're gonna have more benefits out of it than not. How I see it.
That's how we felt when we were
Cause
in
it
those.
seemed
discussions.
like for me, when I was a new employee, that first year I didn't get, unless we had a lot of snow, we got no count time, so we worked all year, and then we got 1 week's vacation. And that was all we had till year 3, we got 2 weeks vacation. Then it went all the way to year 8, and then nothing until 20 again.
Right.
No, 15.
There was a, yeah, there was a
15?
15 and 20.
So I mean, by accumulating
Comes
that
up with
fast.
them numbers.
eight seems odd.
so I guess
That's a lot.
if we did the 5 days and then bumped up to, and vacation schedule to be more competitive for new hires and employees. Why'd we mess with sick leave? It was simply,
Because we thought it was a give or take kind of thing, you know,
well, why did
and
it have to be a give or take?
Because
Because we felt like that's what it was gonna take to get past at this table,
negotiated.
frankly.
negotiation. Can't be all give.
I remember, right, they brought it to us that way, Dave.
Yes.
But that was the thing is, you know, it's just like anytime you ask for, this is gonna create a big budget increase. When you got as many employees as we do, giving more long-term vacation. So that was part of their way of giving back to that.
Right. Slowing the roll on
So
the transitional, yeah, the sick leave to vacation transition. It just, I mean, we knew it was gonna slow
Slowing
that
that
down,
roll.
but
That makes sense to me. I mean, I get what you were.
that's
doing
why.
there. We didn't have the Congressional Budget Office in to help, but.
Exactly.
5 days to start.
I see what you were doing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I like the give and take.
And for someone that doesn't
Protect.
really use a lot of sick leave and lets it build, it takes approximately 7-ish years to start that sick leave conversion.
Yes.
And that is someone that, you know, really doesn't use that much sick leave. So, I mean,
You're
just-
sick, you just never sick.
or just don't take off every other day or go shopping, whatever. I mean, just don't use a lot. I mean,
Well, it's.
I got mine probably 7.5 years and I had a couple of surgeries in between there. And so it's not like I didn't ever use
Oh, I
it and
gotcha.
it took,
You
and
build
you know,
it
and I
back
just
up
see
and-
that it takes, you know, most people 7 to 8-ish years to start that sick leave conversion.
Yep.
So it will probably take more like 10 now.
And you know, I don't see First, I don't see that our pay is bad. And
Well, for some
second, I sure don't
Some
see,
departments,
what's that?
for some departments.
Some departments is probably excessive.
Yep.
But, I mean, there's always that give and take, right? But then I think we have a good benefits package, and I appreciate that the department heads also kept the taxpayer in mind when they were thinking about a way to improve our vacation pay. I mean, sometimes I'm the people that aren't always on the top of our discussion point here. So they should always.
This will be brought up next year when we renegotiate.
It's really non-negotiable.
No, this isn't, but you're right, the wages, salaries are negotiated, but in the back of your mind, you put yourself on the other side. If you're negotiating for a certain pay increase, knowing that this is my sick leave and this is this and this isn't gonna be changed, and granted, they can't, you're right, they cannot negotiate that with collective bargaining the way it is. If you know that that's in the back of your mind, that that's what I'm accustomed to getting. If you knew you're gonna lose that or it'd be reduced, not lose, reduced, you might put your heels in a little higher for better pay increase. Just
They
saying.
didn't get a bad pay increase
Nope,
either.
I'm saying that either, Terry.
Okay, I'm
Just
saying
saying
that.
going forward, you're probably gonna see maybe a little bit harder negotiations when we sit down with them next year.
Well, and I think that's always been an option, you know. I remember when we first started having to pay into our insurance, you know, I started as a $0 for a family plan.
You know, there's a great
Yes.
point, Cal.
You know,
Yeah.
at some point in time, me coming in as a new employee, having been on the pay for my own health insurance for a while. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay $100 a month for my health insurance. I'm like, sweet. But the guys that have been there 20 years and never paid for it, they dug their heels in hard. And that was their right to do it. And I just, well, have you priced it on your own lately?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I'm good with $100 a month, but at that time, the board of supervisors gave the secondary roads employees a raise bigger than what the cost of insurance was gonna cover. So they were thinking about the employees again.
Yep.
I think at that time, it was like $1.50 an hour raise we got, or something like that. So I mean, we got way more than what the insurance. So basically, we were still paying zero for our insurance. They could have gave us a lot smaller raise. And probably still kept our pay at zero, but they've been money ahead.
And there's been
So I
several
mean,
years
they were
now that
thinking,
it's,
I think that was through the
Right, the
other
negotiation
way,
process, that the negotiation team settled, we'll pay $100. But then the supervisor said, well, we'll give you this raise if we can get this contract. signed. So,
And I do think we have to be cautious of that, so we don't solely chip away at the benefits that they are used to getting, so that it gets to a point 10 years down the road that. And I think we did that with insurance this year.
Because they'd be ahead in
But-
10 years.
I'm just saying, so we, over the 10 years, if we keep adjusting and doing things that,
Oh, other adjustments.
other adjustments that we're
I
not.
think this is just one of those hiccups that, yes, we reduced the conversion or the accumulation of sick leave, but yet there was a give and take on the other side that, you know, in 15 years, they're gonna be wondering what they're gonna do with all their vacation time. And if they're not been sick, they're gonna be cashing.
In both.
They could end up with 6 weeks vacation every year. Instead of waiting till they're,
But,
Yeah,
right.
and then throw in a blizzard and you got 80 hours of comp time on top of that. I mean, you know, when you called me the other day, I was kind of unsure, but now I'll put it all back, walking back through it.
Yeah, the whole picture of it.
That's why I have to put it on the agenda.
Well, it's-
Just-
Yeah,
You know, it brought to me. Bring it
Absolutely,
up.
that's what you have to do is hammer.
And
it
I
out.
appreciate it being on so we could talk about
I
it
do
again,
too.
so we could clarify again how we got to where we were. Or where we were and how we got to where we're at.
I mean, the way it, if you just use numbers, if nobody took any, sick leave while they worked here. And they accumulate 18 days a year, it'd take them 5 years to get to 90 days, 18 times 5 is 90. Now at 12, it's gonna take them 7.5 years to get to 90. That's really the big difference.
Yeah.
2.5.
And there's, like you said, there are some people that are maxed out. They get that sick leave conversion because they never take any time off and they are getting, you know, pretty much 4 days of vacation now. And they will only get 3. So yes, those people are getting something taken away, you know, if you want to put it that way. And they might not get that bump up for 3 years because they just passed that 5 years or, you know, whatever. Maybe not see a bump up until, you know, 10 years, I guess. But you know,
How do you keep your mind wrapped around all this?
that's why if you want to keep it the way it is, that's fine with me because it's less work. But you know,
Know that I've only had one job before this, and well, this doesn't offer me vacation, but I've only had one job in my life that I had vacation pay. You get 30 days a year, use it, or when you get to 60, use it or lose it, period. Have a good day. You don't like it? Turn in your uniform.
but like Dave said, I mean, you know, you have good benefits when you come to
Yeah.
the county and
I got paid a little less than that job. They did.
Yeah, they do more or less.
That's why I argue and could get behind leaving it where it's at. For the benefits of employees down there, I mean, what we have it down there.
How do you fix it, Dave? I mean, here's my old army sergeant.
You leave it at a.
Don't bring me a problem without 3 possible solutions. You know, I mean, you might not be able to come up with 3 here, mind you, but I mean, how do
Well,
how do we fix it?
It would just be, you leave it at a day and a half.
So you basically,
Then we'd have to change the
Taxpayers
vacation,
got
then we'd have to change the vacation back to
Yeah.
where it was.
You know, it'd be.
but do we?
We're not doing.
Well, I'm just saying, if we don't,
Right.
But you didn't have to do
All or
both
none.
cut together either. I mean,
Well, that was all given.
But that's what
well, it was
we did.
given for new hires. I mean, that's.
I just think that if the department heads all came together and that's what they thought was the best plan, then it's our responsibility as board of supervisors to support them. Say, yep, we're with you. That's where I'm at.
We figured that people that.
I think we tasked the department heads to get their heads together
if there's a fix,
and fix the concerns they had of new hires.
Yeah.
And that's what they came to us with.
yeah.
And we just ratified it after it came to us. I mean, we didn't, I guess, thinking back, your old army sergeant, I mean, the problem was there and people brought the
A solution.
solution to us.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue changing it to a day and a half at all, but I do have a small department and my employees were they were happy with the decision and getting more vacation days sooner. They're happy with just how it is. So I don't know, I can't speak for every department, but
And I didn't bring it up to blow up the whole thing.
No, it's good
Either all or
discussion.
nothing though, you know.
That's good
I
discussion.
have something to say too, and I guess I totally, I was on board with the give and take like we were doing, you know, you give our employees this and we'll go back to this. I feel like what Dave is saying is like one of my pet peeves. I've been with Verizon for this many years. I'm gonna give all these new people that come on this benefit, but these customers of mine that have been here for so long, screw you. Excuse my language, you know, I'm gonna take from you. And that's, yeah, I think that's kind of where the older employees are having a little bit of an issue. You're giving these new people these benefits to get them on, and I'm all in favor of that because I had a hard time getting employees without that. But then if you look at the other side of the coin, the employees that have been here longer, you're taking away from their benefits.
But on the other take of that, they get their vacation schedule moved up.
Right,
And those over 20 years
And then-
can cash out, which they've never been able to do.
yeah, they've never been. able
It's just looking at that big picture in that aspect, probably.
But there, my point of the, paying for the insurance. You know, at the time it was a battle
It was a deal
between the
breaker.
supervisors and secondary roads.
People going to quit.
But now,
Well, and when you guys had that going from 120 to 90, and you have the option to have a payout, or, you know, there are several different options. How many people retired because they thought they were actually losing something?
Right,
We had people actually leave because of that.
right. I thought they were losing it.
I remember changes over the years and thinking.
Change is hard.
Yeah, change is always hard.
Even if you think you're doing a good thing, you know,
Oh,
other
yeah.
people see it a different way,
Right.
and that's why we're all different.
I remember going to
But-
PTO
And the
then.
board also at that time said, you're not gonna retire,
If you give
then you get a keep.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So people were
Back there.
putting in their
Retired.
retiring notice to,
Because they were.
so they didn't lose it.
Down the road.
Yeah.
And
I know.
everybody's still gonna show up next year for your.
We'll see what happens, right? We leave it alone or not.
We'll cross that bridge then, so.
So this bridge here is either
We discussed
constructed.
it out, so.
Yep,
Yeah, I
any
think we
more
just get
discussion on
discussion.
that? All right, that is not a, well, let's see, it's not,
There's no
yeah, it's,
action.
no action statement.
much
All right,
I'll say,
all right.
we can take action. but-
So we have already discussed the allowance, so we're down to citizens input. Got a user.
Paul needs to come up.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate you. Sorry to
Guys have
keep
anything in
pulling
citizens
you away
input?
from water.
I would like to go back to the sets just a little bit for your information.
Yeah.
You guys were kind of in awe that they couldn't require ID.
We were.
So for my office, for the disabled property tax credit, they can't require proof of income. You can come in
Disabled prop.
the disabled and elderly property tax credit. I mean, that's kind of as far-fetched as not being able to require.
There is an income restriction on that.
There is an income restriction.
But you
We've
can't
got-
ask for it
is, the income restriction?
Mhm. So if you come in and you say you're at this, you really cannot require, and that's one thing that the Treasurers Association is working on with new legislation. So if you guys ever hear anything about that and have a chance to support it, we would appreciate it. Because, you know, somebody, and like a 2-adult household, there's couples who cohabitate. But the one doesn't provide any income to the actual deed holder, so we can't use their income unless they're making it available. And we can't require proof, so that's,
Do they have to prove their disability?
they have to prove their disability, but they do not have to prove their income. So that we can verify they are within the guidelines. We can request it, but they do not have to provide it. And the other thing that you guys had asked is if they can get a homestead credit and a military, or the homestead and the 65 plus, and Seth said yes. They can also come to my office and apply for the DSC credit and get that in addition to the credits that the assessor's office is giving.
Yeah, just because I would, so that one don't cancel the out for the other.
Right, but we don't give more credits than what the taxes are.
Right.
That's
Correct.
nice.
We don't pay them to own their house.
Even
Yes.
100%.
I know.
Then they don't
Right.
qualify.
Right, exactly.
But they can stack them to get.
To
more.
get to 100 or get
Right.
close to 100.
Right.
Yeah.
There are a few people that do not pay taxes because their credits exceed what their taxes would be.
Well, I probably will never get there, but.
I don't know. I'm gonna work on it.
Wanting.
The
Someone's
majority, they're all
gotta pay
exemptions though now, not credits.
Right.
Is there any credits left besides the exemptions that we currently talked about that are backfilling?
So,
No, there's a.
lost track,
It's
frankly.
all,
Yeah. Alrighty. Anything else? Thank you.
I just had a couple of things, base level engineering stuff at the DNR, they just had a webinar. Some really, really cool stuff that they're doing across the state. Communities have to counties have to raise their hand and say, we're interested in participating. There's no cost. But what it does, it's basically updating your mapping. If you go to the University of Iowa Flood Center, that webpage I sent you guys. that's the kind of stuff that's available now. I mean, the technology's improved so much in the last 10 years. So, I don't know if it's my place or whose place, but I think it's something that would be good and beneficial for the county. Jessica Garcia was in on that as well, kind of bits and pieces. I think she had to step away for a while, but I'm gonna encourage the city to do it too. I mean, based on my experience and what's happened in Denison. This just gives you very good data. It doesn't have to be regulatory. And so you understand the difference between regulatory and just having information. Regulatory says you're in a floodplain, here's your status. I mean, this came up in the early 90s when we wanted to do the flood study. People didn't want to know the answer to the question from a regulatory standpoint. Okay, so you can just get the information. Now, at some point, it may become regulatory, but it's just really good information to have. And it's real time. So they have this real-time technical assistance, doesn't cost communities, counties, anything, that helps you develop this much better predicted as it relates to flooding.
Well, I got an invite to that too, because it was under EMA, so
Yeah, I sent it out to everybody, but you guys were all in a board meeting. I caught part of it, but I couldn't the entire presentation. Again, I just can't emphasize enough. I mean, there's certain communities that have already extended and said, hey, we're interested. Spencer was one of them. That's why they have some of the information you see. If you go to the Iowa Flood Center's webpage and you start looking at that, the communities that have already opted in have that information available. So you can just take it, slide river stage information, and over here it displays what your community is gonna look like at those different river stages. So it's pretty neat stuff. So, from an EMA standpoint, city standpoint, all the flooding that's happened in the 90s, it's just, now you can get an update. So. Slate just throwing that out there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
So if you want them to come, they'll come and do a presentation to maybe whoever it might be. I could assist in connecting the dots, reaching out. And having it go out. So that's one thing. The position description that I gave you, if it is okay, I'll send that out to Jack and send that out here right away. They do have it on next week's agenda. They've approved it, so we have an approved position description that would go out with the announcement. So just kind of keep that in mind. It'll be on the agenda for next week. If we any changes, let me know.
Because by then you'll have heard back from Jack, so if you want
Yeah,
to. We'll have
there should be some.
something that'll be approved. This is okay by Jack, that we would approve next
You
week.
just approve it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
And then the last thing is, I've been trying to get updates on, remember back in April, we had, some flood damage, storm damage. Just not getting any feedback, however, might have what's going on in the rest of the state. I don't know how pushing it. There's people that are in much worse shape than we are. But just to kind of an update, because I was thinking about that as we were doing this flood stuff, and I reached out to him last week, and I hadn't heard anything back, they emailed about the phone call or phone message. So we had submitted the $86,000 damage.
Who's our contact on that?
It's Chris BTech, BTech, something like that. Yeah, Iowa.
Well, I think it's important to remember that, while we don't need our bearings replaced, we still got a little squeak in our wheels. We need to make sure that.
Well, continue to squeak. Don't worry. All right. But it is, guessing that the magnitude of what's taking place throughout the state of Iowa is probably the priorities of showing that, although, a lot of significant storm damage in April too. So, I just want to give you those quick updates.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that.
All right. So we completed our citizen input. It looks like we need a motion to adjourn.
Will we adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Man,
All right,
I'm
we
gonna
are-
be back on here today. I gotta be in Omaha now.
I knew it was better than long.
We got an hour in.
Gotta